Okay. It should be up and running on, let's see, OKWA meeting.
I do have an extra tripod.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Sweet.
And a multi-port USB.
Oh, one of those hubs?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Should be live on the YouTube feed. And you're on the conference call?
Yes.
All right.
I've already got the attendance, just missing Kirk, and the minutes, I didn't print them, but I did send them out in an email. I don't know if you guys kind of scanned them. It's been a minute since that meeting.
And this is for the January 19th meeting?
The one, I believe that was in the hotel, right?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
It would have been August
No.
weekend.
This was a virtual meeting
Oh,
Yeah.
that we had, yeah.
119 would have been before Novice State
Yeah.
or Novice Championships. Someday I'll quit calling it that.
It's hard. Let me see.
Yeah, so it says it was virtual though. No, we have to.
We talking about making a motion for the preview. I'll make a motion. To
I second.
approve,
Oh, go ahead.
to approve those minutes.
I second.
Do you want to take notes? You want me to go through the agenda? You can take notes?
Yeah.
Does that work? Okay.
Yeah.
Motion by Matt to approve the minutes from 119. Second? Is there a second?
I did.
Jennifer?
Jennifer seconds?
Yep.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Election validation. What's that one about?
I don't know if it's all or nothing, but it looks like the only one we have is, I got Don's email and then Chris gave me his ballots. I don't know if we can validate those regions.
We haven't had a
or-
board meeting since after regionals.
Oh, to approve the, okay, so it's the election results from the, region, or actually from state, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Very good.
Right.
All right, so we've all been doing the job, and I like it. Perfect. All right,
We
so
need record of them in our minutes, yeah.
I think I sent mine, at least I know mine are posted on the Google Drive.
Okay,
They're all uploaded, like every ballot along with the results
okay.
of mine are on the Google Drive.
I did mine too, but I don't remember.
Well, Chrissy, we just need to, she needs, what are the three things we need? We need directors that were approved, that were voted on, regional sites, and any grievance committee members, right?
I'm looking right now to see if I can find those.
Like what was voted on.
I wasn't on the board then, so I'm not really sure, like, what items were.
2022
on there.
election results. We have Northeast, Northwest, and Southern. Southern is in there. Northwest is in there.
What folder is that one in?
You go to regionals and then 2022.
Northeast is mine.
Haven't been since.
No longer Northwest. So
Oh, yeah,
now
that's
we're
just
back. Northeast. Ballot
Okay,
totals.
well, it sounds like, it looks like you've got everyone. I can scan the centrals in.
Do you have theirs tallied up, or do you remember? Well, let's have each region say, so who, so did you tally yours up, do you know, or do you
Yes.
remember? So Casey is gonna be the regional representative, which formerly known as director. We don't have any committee. It does look like we had a write-in on the grievance committee, like people could
Yeah.
write in on that,
Yeah.
so we'd have to look and see.
I don't think.
It doesn't look like anybody wrote anything in, cause we didn't have any nomination.
one, I think. Maybe.
Okay, so,
Dakota.
so,
was a write-in.
Dakota from Southern is grievance.
So it looks like Dakota Winghamton from Blaine County,
Mm-hmm.
Wigington, there you go,
Uh-huh.
from Blaine County is the grievance.
Or.
Casey is the regional representative,
Uh-huh.
And Anadarko is the regional site.
Anadarko is the regional site.
Yes.
Okay, so that's Southern, you got that?
I will get that, yes.
Okay, Central,
Skip me.
Northwest. Bobby Lassiter was the regional,
Bobby Lasser's regional, Newkirk was the, regional site. And I guess I'm still a little bit confused on the Sam and the Brandon. Went for the grievance.
Let me look, I just now saw this order, so let me look at it.
And we don't need to document like coach of the year, referee of the year, okay, just making sure. Was that discussed at your regional city meeting?
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit confused on, Brandon supposedly not being on the ballot. Because I do remember Sam withdrawing, and I had the phone conversation with Brandon that he was the only one,
This doesn't
On the
show
ballot.
votes for that though.
It doesn't, yeah, I don't see any votes for that. It's just the results that he sent to us, I don't think it would have been Don, only have Brandon's name on, or only have Sam's name on.
that, I'll clear that up.
you said Newkirk, okay, so Northwest, so Bobby
Bobby,
is the regional rep,
yeah,
Newkirk is the regional site, and the others to be determined at this time, right?
on the grievance, yes.
On the grievance committee.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm ready.
Central, go.
Regionals at Norman,
Regionals at Norman,
grievance,
I didn't think.
No, that's not true.
that's what all the write-ins were on that. So you got like
Well, okay,
7
but,
versus Little Axe has like 3.
I didn't think you were on that.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
As
Little Axe has
write-ins?
3, yeah,
Oh.
yeah, so it was just a write-in on that, and NGC got like 7.
Well, we may not be able to have,
Okay,
we have a new athletic director, so I need to find out.
okay.
so it sounds like, so Norman, as of right now, Norman's the site,
As of right now,
and Little Axe is the backup site,
Little Axe was the backup, yeah.
okay,
Grievance committee, Crystal Hawkins,
okay. Crystal Hawkins on the grievance committee,
she's from Noble,
okay,
and then Jennifer Lancaster is the representative.
and Jennifer Lancaster's representative, okay. Northeast is, Kirk ran unopposed, so Kirk is the, regional, representative. Our site is something we gotta talk about, and then, the, grievance committee, Whit was the only one that volunteered for that, Whit Aslan.
Okay.
On our regional site, so Tahlequah was the only club that offered to do it. Tahlequah didn't have a tournament last year with OKWA. Now, I'm fairly confident that this is a law, or one of the things in our bylaws that you had to run a tournament from the previous year. I'm fairly confident that the reason that's in there is so that we don't get to a club that has no idea what's going on and it be a complete crap show, okay? My opinion, clubs don't run the tournament anymore. Like, they have a nice venue, they've secured the venue, I had a letter from them saying that they have the venue. Like, they don't have to worry about doing brackets, they don't have to worry about any of that stuff, they gotta supply table workers. So in this day and age, I feel like as a board, I would ask that we make an exception and allow Tahlequah to host the tournament.
Especially they ran unopposed, right? Like
That's
nobody
the
else
deal.
is contesting.
Anadarko's never ran a tournament. This will be the 3rd time they've ran regionals.
Yeah,
Never had issues. They have a nice facility,
and
everything.
I feel like with the COVID crap we've been dealing with,
Yeah.
like clubs haven't got to run tournaments for various reasons, like
Yeah.
we can't hold that,
Right.
can't
Okay.
hold them accountable for that.
Okay, so unless there's objections, Tahlequah will be the Northeast Regional Site. Unless there's objections from the board. Okay? Be Tahlequah. That's the Northeast. Is there a motion to approve all of those?
Yeah, motion to approve the ballots from state.
Chris, motions to approve all ballots from all regions for state,
Second.
second by Cecil. Any discussion?
When will we find out about, you'll, message in the group or something about, whether it's Sam or Brandon?
Yes, I'll track that down tomorrow.
Alright. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item. Equipment, unfinished business, so the first one is equipment. Chris, order for mats.
So we placed an order for 8 mats and the runners, we put the down payment down at $6,427.77. And they're 16 to 20 weeks out for those 8 mats. And then as they become completed, then we'll pay the remaining balance.
Okay?
So were those all 24s?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
What was the
And
total?
the total, I just saw it, ask me. Hang on. $25,771.80.
So $25,771.80 was the total for the mats?
8 cents.
8 cents.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yep.
Mats,
And,
mats and runners.
yes.
Mats and runners.
And we allotted, waterproof 27,000, so we came in a little bit under that.
And
Okay.
what was the down payment, 6,000?
6,000.
427 and 77 cents.
Very good. So whenever those are ready, just let us know and we'll figure out how to go get them.
Absolutely.
Okay? Any further discussion on mats?
Who are those coming from?
Easy Flex.
Is that down in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dallas area.
Alright, the next item is Christie's pending redesign of the state regional medals.
Yes, Chris wanted to see some different designs, so I reached out to, was it Hasty?
Yeah, which we're working with Rick now, not
Rick.
Wendy,
Yes.
just FYI.
And so he said that he was out on vacation, but will be returning this week, and said not to worry, we have plenty of time, and, right, so I did ask about different colors on the ones that the design that we already had, and then just let him run with whatever design he thinks would stand out. We mentioned
Should be something more
a
modern.
little bit bigger, getting rid of the little springs that attach the lanyard to the metal, and then having like a slot, that way it doesn't fall off so easy. Just stuff like that, so he's supposed to be getting back on the 30th, so we'll go from there.
Yeah, if you guys remember, we talked about this last year, about going with a new design this year to kind of match our new logo and stuff and, fit in with our rebranding. So that's kind of where we're at with getting these new designs and why we're pushing for a change.
I totally agree.
Yep. Okay, yeah, I guess so as soon as you get those, if you'll just post them,
Yeah.
we'll see if we can get them approved.
And we want novice championships to be the same, right? Like, we're not downsizing or making any changes with their state medals, other than updating the name.
The name.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
We're removing state and adding championship.
Yeah.
Okay. Novice.
And it's still just top 4.
Yes.
Perfect.
That's
Okay.
That's a
I need to
recent one.
make sure.
That's
Yeah.
a recent change.
Yeah, I think we made that last year, we moved it just 4. Right.
Yes.
Okay,
What did we do with all the medals? Cause we had ordered medals for the, what was it, top 6?
I think a lot of them were bronze, so we probably hopefully we reused for
We
3rd and
reused
4th.
a lot of those. We do, I think we still have some in storage, but it's not like an abundance of medals we have just sitting around.
That might be something though we can check just to, whenever we do our order.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if it's rebranded, it won't matter anymore.
Right,
Is there
So-
a metal buyback program, like, we just have all these medals?
can they melt them back down?
That's what I'm
Right.
I would ask Hasty, if we send them a whole bunch of medals, can they give us some sort of credit for them?
Right, something.
If not, there's a place
Melt
in the
these
city that will
suckers.
actually take the medals and melt them down.
Oh, really? I need to look into that.
Okay, just don't tell Kyle that you have some. You'll show up at our tournament and we'll be handing out novice state. I guarantee it. Don't
Yeah, I'm
tell
sure
you
got a
that.
box right here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I did last year.
I remember.
Yeah.
We got a whole
Like
smorgasbord of
we literally gave
medals.
away 7 different medals last year at the Team Tulsa tournament.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, don't ever do that again. He's like, well, I got rid of all of them, so, alright.
I think, Ponca City does the same thing.
Yeah.
A lot of students do.
Alright, so, okay, so, anything else on the medals? So, on the 2-sided clocks, so, I just built a set of 8. The inside is 350, the 2 monitors, so we went with monitors instead of TVs. So we did a 27-inch monitor, they're 180 a piece. So you're looking at 350 and 360, so about $700 for everything. And we can get, and that includes, you know, the switch, the HDMI splitter, power cords, everything you need, plus a stand. And the stands are 75 a piece. Is that what we got?
Something like that. It was 152 for a set of two.
Yeah.
And
so
I
about
have an
75
extra,
apiece.
I have an extra stand.
Okay, so you're looking at about let's just say $800 per clock.
Yeah.
If we wanna buy clocks, if we wanna do those. The other thing we did is we put ours in a tote instead of putting them in a big box, instead of the big wooden boxes like we've been doing. Because they're a 27-inch monitor, they actually fit in those roll-around totes. So we went with a roll-around tote for the ones that we built, and just like molded it in so they sit down in there. The way ours are set up is that every mat will have a tote, so it'll have the computer, camera, well, 2 computers, the camera, everything that's needed for that mat will be in that one tote. We'll just roll that to the thing and go with it. So that's the way we've just set up ours. Again, it's about $800, and I think we can include the tote in that $800.
Yeah. As far as space goes, how does that match up to the space that we were taking up with the big boxes?
Yeah, I think it's.
Consolidate some, or
I
not
think
really?
I don't think it's any more space. So I don't think with the totes you're gonna take up any more than what those 2 big clock.
But it's not any less either.
I don't think it's much less.
Okay.
It'll be easier to move too.
Oh, 100% easier.
Are
to
the
move.
totes, can you stack them?
Yes,
Or- yeah?
4 high.
Are you talking like just the big black ones with the handles, the yellow lids?
Yes.
Those
Yeah,
on
they're
wheels?
they're
Yeah.
roll around. They got a
Yeah.
handle on one end. Yep.
Mhm.
That would be
Yep.
really easy.
And we just took and reused the styrofoam that came from with the TV, the monitors, and we put that in the bottom. We spray foamed around it so they're in there solid, don't really move.
And you plexied them too, didn't you?
The 2-sided that we brought today, we plexiglass. I didn't do plexiglass the new ones I have.
Okay.
Yeah. They're much more manageable. The 27 makes a huge difference in how manageable they are.
Yeah.
Like a huge difference in versus the 32-inch TV.
Mm.
I mean, it's a little bit smaller viewing surface, but it's much more manageable.
They can still see it though.
Yes, it's still, in a small gym, it's not gonna be.
Well, I mean, we're not trying to use
those.
those for state. I mean, we're
Right.
gonna use some 4-sided clocks for state.
And the idea here is that we get the 4-sided clocks out of the rotation, because every time we show up at state, 1 or 2 or 3 or 12 are broken. So,
We already have enough to do.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, it would be nice if those 16 4-sided clocks were state clocks and state and novice championships. That's what we save them for.
Yeah, I agree,
So,
100%. So what are you thinking about? $6,000 for 8?
whatever, 800 times 8, 6,400.
6,400, yeah.
Yeah, so 6,400 is what it would take to build another set of 8.
Okay.
And so, just the status on where we're at, so I have the Northeast covered, so we have 8 for the Northeast. And then there's 14 more 2-sided clocks that OKWA owns. So so we just need to figure out what.
So 14 more outside of what we already have in the central trailer?
No,
Oh, including
the central trailer. So
Okay.
I believe we have 6 that are in the black trailer. I think there's 6 2-sided clocks that Lee had built that a while back. So those 6 that he built, we have those, and then the 8 that I just brought with me that are in the new boxes that we just built.
Those are the
Okay.
ones where's the ones I built?
So in total.
Those are the ones you
has
built.
14.
Okay.
They're the ones you built. We just built clock boxes for them.
Yep.
So in total we
Yep.
have 14.
That's what we used at regionals
Yeah.
last year
Northeast has-
at Bristow.
Yeah. So to my opinion, to do this right, I think Central needs 8 because they generally run 8 mats.
8 to 10, yeah.
Yeah. I think we need to do at least 6 for the Southern.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what I was telling Jennifer when I picked up the trailer, is that, there's not really a gym in the southern region that can hold more than 6 mats.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Outside, I think maybe Elgin, that would be the only one.
Yep. So I think 6 down there is sufficient, and I think we should do 8 in the Northwest, which means we need to buy 8 more clocks, and then I'll have 8 in the Northeast.
Okay.
Does that work? Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about computers.
Where we?
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Well, I guess is there a motion? Do we want to
Well,
go
I
ahead?
just wanted to, where are we at financially before we?
Did you include?
We didn't do-
Put in the reports.
Yeah, well, under reports,
Reports are at the very end. So right now, financially, we are at $75,839.29.
is that with the Reno bill paid?
The, hotel deal.
Yeah.
I still haven't heard back from anything on
They're
that.
weird, they have our
It's-
card on
it's so
file,
strange.
like, I don't know why they haven't filed it, or why they haven't charged our
I
card.
don't know either.
How much is that?
13,000, I think.
What was that number, Chris?
75, 839, 29.
So we have an outstanding balance of somewhere around 13 grand. So let's just say 14, just in case, which puts us at 61,000.
And then how much we got, roughly
When is insurance due?
18,000,
When is-
18,000 for the mats?
Insurance is being paid monthly still, I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah, it's under a monthly deal right now.
Okay, When-
27.
when is, yeah, and so we got the mats, and how much was that, 18 grand for the mats?
Roughly.
Yeah.
So say 20, so we're at 41,000.
Max for-
The max
Oh,
would
be that much.
that we owe more,
The-
like,
the
this is.
second payment.
The second payment, yeah.
So the 6 grand's already came out of the 75,000.
So 19,343.
Will be what's owed.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20, so we're at 41.
Yeah, but that won't be due until the middle to the end of
The year,
December.
right, but let's just say for the physical year, and then we'll plan
Yeah.
for next year, so,
So
right?
we'll still have income coming in from signups
Yes,
to cover.
yep.
Correct.
And the insurance payments, if they haven't changed since I did the budget, they're somewhere like around, is it 1,200 a month?
I feel like we need to calculate that
I think
again
it's
and
25
document, cause
hundred.
we talk about it every time and I can't remember what it is.
If you guys will send me, if you'll send me the total amount that we, or what, either the monthly payment or the total amount, I'll update that spreadsheet that I
Okay.
did.
Well, Chris should be able to see it on
I've
our
got
So the monthly
financials.
insurance payments, there's one for 798.25,
Mhm,
one for 218.51,
mhm.
and then the third one is 1893.08.
So 798, so is that about 3,200, 3,300?
That's what we see.
Is that right? Okay,
So we're still, I mean, if we didn't get anybody sign up money until mid-November, we're still looking at more
30
than enough
something,
money,
I
yeah,
think.
to get the
Um,
books. And end up saving us money, cause everything will
Yeah.
get broke.
yes, then the foresight won't get broke, we don't send those somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you can buy the TVs now, or we can buy them later. Like, I mean, that's.
It's gonna happen one way or another,
Right.
you're gonna buy
Do we
them.
just need a motion then?
So-
to purchase?
Yes.
I've got a motion. I move to purchase 8 two-sided clocks, not exceeding $7,000.
Okay.
Second.
Motion to approve 8 two-sided clocks not to exceed $7,000, and a second motion by Chris, second by Matt. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Let's talk about computers real quick, and I know it's not on there, but let's talk about computers. So, I went through all the computers. We have, right now in the trailer, just what I have 14 MacBook Pros. They're all in good, very good condition.
Those are the ones we just bought last year.
Those are the ones we just bought last year.
Okay.
All in good condition, excellent. So, I then have 16 of those Lenovo's that we've had since as long as I've been around.
Those are Kyle's favorite.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
like they're
Those are like
they're
20
getting pretty old, okay?
2015-ish.
I still think they're great computers to run scoring, like,
Mhm.
but some of them are broken. Some of them, the internet don't work. Like, they're just, I mean, they're starting to cycle through.
How many do we have those?
We have 16
Okay.
in the trailer. I know for sure one of them has a completely smashed screen.
Yep.
Two more of them have lines through the screen. Still usable, yes. Looks terrible. So so that's
Yeah.
basically 3. So now you're looking at like 13 of them. Of the 13 that are left, computer number 6 and 12, the hardwire don't work.
Mhm.
So you have to put a dongle with them. Not a big deal,
Mhm.
right? So we put a dongle with those two, not a big deal. So basically I have 13 working Lenovo's that you could score computers on, okay? So 14, and I should say that of the 14 MacBook Pros, we do plan to stream every Central Region event this year as well. So we'll stream in the Northeast, we'll stream Central, Northwest, like 2 events. We're gonna try to do 2 events every weekend, one to YouTube, one to Flow. And we'll try to do that every single weekend. Now where those are at, I don't know, but we're trying to set up 2 sets. So you need to take eight of the MacBooks out of the equation to do streaming, right? So that leaves us 6 MacBook Pros and 13 of the others. So we have about 19 computers that need to go with 22 clocks.
Mhm.
So we need to buy 3 to 4 more something computers.
Yeah.
Have you looked on pricing
Those MacBook Pros
on the
actually,
MacBook Pros?
They went down
Those
from
would have
last
to be
year.
MacBooks that we purchased.
I'm
right?
just saying that I get a teacher discount on MacBook Pros now.
So we've been buying an older, like 2012 model.
For new ones, yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah. They're still
I
gonna
just
be.
bought one, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
just saying.
Well, next time I need a new one, I'm hollering at you.
I got you.
So it looks like for the same ones that we bought before, they're down to 300 where they were 450.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and again, they're not gonna stream at 1080, but 720 is what I've always been doing for the last few years. So 720 is gonna be fine.
And those can be used as scores also.
They're gonna be
right?
solid scoring computers for many years to come.
You know,
I mean, I have a 2009 Mac that I use every day.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't think it makes sense to have the 18 clocks and 15 computers,
right,
so.
Yeah, whatever it
Seems
takes to
like
get
a
us to
necessity.
22, I think.
yeah.
I mean, if we go with those, the same that we got last year, you're looking at what? What are
They're
they?
$900.
$299.99.
So $900.
So, just my suggestion, but I think you should get, so I think you need at least 4, and I think you should get the central so that they can, or not the central, that's, one of the other, streaming table computer needs 16 matching computers. So I think you need 16 MacBook Pros in that trailer, right? And then I think you should try to do something to where the other regions, so like Southern also has 6 Macs that match, so they have, 6 matching computers, and then the Lenovo's will send with the Northwest, and they can phase them in. And maybe we send a Lenovo or 2 as a backup computer for Southern, and we send a backup, to the Northwest, and that way everybody has a backup or 2.
You
Same
said
with-
matching as in like all MacBooks are
Yeah, so-
streaming, they don't have to match like this computer and this
No, no, no,
computer.
no,
and
no,
this
just-
one. Okay.
One thing to remember too, in the Northwest, at least, well, for Don's Perry tournament, they have a lot of their gear, and he borrows gear from Blackwell. And then, of course, Blackwell's tournament, we've got all of our own gear. The Ponca tournament, they always use all of Blackwell's gear and a little bit of OKWA's gear. And then same with Newkirk, it's a combination of they have some of their own gear and they use some of Blackwell's.
So,
That's
So you're not-
computers,
you don't need
clocks.
necessities
Yeah.
as much as everybody else does.
so then the question becomes, do we need to buy? Do we need to buy clocks? Do we need to buy clocks?
Well, I'll put it this way, I don't wanna depend on our stuff, cause Blackwell got burnt twice last year by clubs using our stuff and not being reimbursed anything
Yep.
for it. And
And
so I'm a little more leery on loaning out Blackwell's gear now,
And you don't have to,
yeah. I mean, cause, the Blackwell Club paid for all of it, I mean, they own it, so,
So if we did 2 more to get central, we did 2 to get central to 16, and then we did 6 to get southern, would be 8 computers.
That's 24.
That's 2,400.
Which
Or
might work
we just
for-
buy and then we split them, so somebody's gonna get a MacBook, and then 6 Lenovo's, 13,
I say we just get 4 this year,
okay,
and then we,
figure it out,
figure it out.
okay,
Because like I said, I think I've got 12
okay.
Yeah.
laptops.
Well, I mean,
so-
it's not gonna hurt anything for the Southern run, Lenovo's, I mean, they run
Right.
just fine for
Yep.
live score and stuff.
Yep,
Nobody knows how to run a Mac now.
okay.
We calling you.
Thought you just said you bought Macs.
I just bought a Mac, that's all I'm saying.
Terrible.
I'm just,
All right.
I've gotta learn how
So-
to use it, is what I'm saying.
Is there
So-
a motion to purchase?
Yeah, is there a motion to purchase the 4, and how much?
Make a motion to purchase the 4, not to exceed $900.
No,
Mm.
that won't work.
Oh, cause they're $299 a piece, right?
With tax, I'd say 1,500.
It's a 1,500.
Okay, make a motion to purchase 4 Macs, not exceed $1,500.
Second.
Motion by Cecil to approve 4 MacBook Pros, not to exceed 1,500, second by Casey. Discussion? All in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed say nay, motion carries.
You'll buy those, Chris?
I'm gonna mention real quick, when I picked up the trailer, Carl was telling me that when he got the tires put on, that they told him that the rims are warped, so we need to look at purchasing rims.
Well, Carl said next time, he just said the
And
next
if
time
it
we
doesn't-
replace
it's not a
tires,
m-
you should
a
probably
dire
replace the
necessity.
rims as well.
That's something in
Is
the
that
future we
from
need to look
weight?
at.
Right, from
Tires blowing
dragging
out.
and beating. It's that other, it's the older trailer we bought.
The black
It's an
trailer,
old,
yeah.
yeah, it's an old van.
So he said it wasn't
Is
the
that the one
bearings,
you-
it was
the
the
one you had down
rims,
south?
it was
Yeah.
that.
It's been through.
Okay, outstanding checks to be written for the replacement and cloud boxes.
Yeah, I have the receipt here for the tires, so we got all brand new tires on the black trailer and the white trailer, they were at my house. Carl also replaced some sort of caps on, put some loops somewhere, it was all about it.
Dust caps.
How much is the total?
Total for, and there's two receipts here, so that total is $1,269.06.
$1269.06.
And
Okay.
then he asked, for
Are
his
those like
time.
kid play?
There's also replacement warranties on them, so I've scanned that into the drive, so if we need to replace any tires, a discount tire, we can get those replaced. It's
Perfect.
like for the life of the tire or whatever it is.
Good idea.
And he asked for his time reimbursement for $300.
Okay. So 1569.06.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
Well, this was already
Yeah, I
approved
don't think
in a
we
previous.
already approved the.
Okay, so we just need to write the check.
Yeah, we
Got
just need
it.
the checks written.
Okay, perfect. You got that, Chris?
Yes.
1569.06. 1569.06.
I wrote it down, we can take care of it later.
Okay, Max have been ordered.
And then Jeremy, were you saying, did you get your check for the boxes? that we built?
Yes,
Okay.
we've gotten all the checks for the boxes and the plexiglass and all that. I do have one more, storage payment, so I've cleaned the storage out now that I got that other trailer. But I did have one more month of storage payment.
Okay.
As soon as I get that final amount, I'll send it to you.
Great.
It should be less than it was the last 2 months, cause I only used it half the month.
Sure.
We'll see if they prorate it. I think
Okay.
they will. Anything else under equipment? Oh, this is gonna be fun.
I know, I was wondering if we should like move it down and come back, or.
Is there a motion to table the website
Yes.
discussion?
So, wait.
Well, not to table it completely, but.
Well, we can table it
just-
for now and bring it up at the end of the meeting. Like, we could table it now, or just move it down. Is that okay?
As long, we do need to touch on it at least.
We've gotta talk about it, but
Mhm.
yes. Let's do that when we're all tired. Title sponsor. I believe Cecil.
So I have
Or Bobby.
emailed, Nearfall and Rudis, I haven't heard back from either one of them. Jimmy Lovell, I believe his name, actually reached out to me yesterday from Matt Gear. I'm gonna try and call him back, this evening or tomorrow evening.
Okay.
I do have a contact at Rudis if you need it. Like
And I've been
a
talking
guy's
to a
personal
guy
cell phone
from
number.
Rudis, and that's who I emailed for, cause Gary's gotta get all new, school gear. And so he's like stuck on that, so he hadn't even emailed me back on.
Yeah, if you want, I'll send you his number too.
So as of today, you have not heard from Rudis or Nearfall?
Bruce will have a price by Friday.
Okay, there we go. Bobby says Rudis will have a price by Friday.
And what is this for?
So this is our state tournament and our novice championships. Basically the title sponsor at those. So in the past, it's always just been Nearfall. And all they've ever provided was singlets. And so, I mean, it's never been like, there's never been more than that. So what we're asking this year is for bids, from Rudis, Matt Gear, and Nearfall, to try to figure out if there's opportunities there for us to get more than just singlets out of the deal.
Was, singlets, the referee shirts, and some money, is what he said.
For
Give me the
Nearfall.
Exact amount.
Okay, for Rudis, okay, yeah. So, and I think Matt Gear was similar to that, yeah, so, okay. So we'll discuss that one, next one. Okay, so then the flow contract, I'm still waiting to hear back from the guy on the exact details of that. I will say that we need to get, once I hear from him, we need to get at least probably 2 or 3 people to sign that, so there's more than just me on the contract, cause I think right now it's like all in my name. That was like the last minute thing that we had to do last year to get it going.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's all in my name right now, so I've asked him that we change it to at least 2 of us, and if we wanna do 3, I'm good with that, maybe 2 directors or 2 regional, representatives and Christie. So I'll get that done, I'll send that over, and we'll go from there. So that's the flow contract. But I do believe there are 2 years, so last year was year 1 of 3 for that. Taxes,
Are we owed a check from
Well-
last year?
did we get that check?
We have not got that check.
Our original
Have we
contract
sent in
was
what we
almost
needed for
5
that?
years. They changed it. I don't do that anymore.
They will do 5 years, but I think last year on a whim, we just did 3.
Something in.
Because, and last year didn't include novice either, it was just the open tournament. Yeah, cause we ran the novice tournament on YouTube. By the way, YouTube's at 7, as of when I looked a while ago, it's at 702 subscribers. Like we're 300 away from the 1K where they'll start paying us, just a FYI. You just need a few more subscribers and then we can start getting paid on the YouTube. And I do think that like we'll legit get paid, cause like, I mean, there's a bunch of people that watches that every weekend.
Yeah.
Cause we have a lot of video time on there. And we can add we could add in ads for replays. And I think we could legit make some decent money at that.
Let me ask, so in terms of like sharing and social media presence and stuff, you know, I think mostly we're on Facebook, but you know, the wrestlers that are coming up are not on Facebook, you know, like the young people who may also be subscribers and such, like, we don't have a presence anywhere else, right, like Twitter or
Instagram.
Instagram or anything like that? Christie's an Instagrammer and Twitter, or?
No. Twitter, yes.
I'm on Twitter, but I'm not on anything else.
Okay, well, I don't know, it's just a thought, you know, in terms of like,
And that's not my account, promise.
so just a thought about, you know, okay, maybe if we can share in some places, other places, we might be able to get that stream count up or whatever.
I think
Yep.
Twitter would be a good place.
Twitter would definitely be, yep. And I don't know, I don't know the
It's
rest.
a full-time job to like trying to manage all these
Yeah.
accounts, like, I think USA, and they can probably hit on that, but, well, maybe not. But no, I think they have someone like completely dedicated just to do the media and
Yeah.
keep up with all those accounts. I definitely don't want that job.
Okay, well, just a thought, maybe we can.
I've never even been on Twitter,
So we're the old people, the
Swear,
young ones
I
are
haven't.
in, or not, they're there.
Right,
Okay.
okay,
So, wait, are you gonna follow up on that check?
yes, I will follow up on the check as well.
Yeah, we haven't received anything yet.
Okay.
For this.
I'll
past
ask you
year.
about that too.
And we
Okay.
streamed, novice championships and.
No.
No,
That was on YouTube,
YouTube.
wasn't it? Just
Novice
state.
was on YouTube.
Just state.
It was just state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay, I'll stick Desi on him. Maybe he can get him. Okay.
If anyone could, probably
Okay.
him.
Taxes.
So, I know that you reached out to Todd. Did you ever respond back?
I didn't get a response this time.
Yes, I didn't see anything either, on that. I know that we got a letter, or you got a letter, right?
Yeah, it just said that, so this is from, I can't remember what tax year, 2018?
Yeah.
That's where we had filed, and then we got a bill saying that like it had penalties, but then Todd, our accountant, sent in a request to have those waived. A lot of times the IRS will do that one time, or we'll do it for under certain circumstances. So that was all the letter was to say, we're still processing
Tax
your
period was
request.
2020.
Okay, it's
And,
still your,
So that happened to us.
What tax periods are still outstanding that need to be filed?
21.
and now 22 because, well, no.
So 2020 has been filed?
Yes.
Okay.
It was just 21. This is what we're gonna hear from us.
That happened to us in Blackwell, cause we had a change in board members, and we go through Parent Booster USA, is who handles all our stuff, and we got a letter, same letter saying blah, 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 and they sent it in and got the penalties waived, just because of the change in board members.
When was the last communication to Todd?
That was on August 3rd.
That's when I just messaged
So,
him.
I'm gonna reply now again.
I CC you on it just because I knew that, you said you weren't, he doesn't respond to you or something, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I can't get him to respond to me, but I need to just call him.
Is there anything that we need to provide to him for 2021 to get this done? Or does he have it all and?
He has all of the bank statements and everything else, and he bills our QuickBooks from there, and files our taxes, so he has everything he needs.
Okay, so he's not pending anything from us to get
What
done?
do they
Okay.
charge us to do our taxes typically?
I'm sure there's a receipt somewhere, what I wanna say,
It's on our,
Is it 700, 900?
I was gonna say, cause I know through Parent Booster USA, we pay a $350 membership,
Mm-hmm.
and then taxes, to do our taxes, it's like $300. And basically you send them your information, all your expenses, your income, who your board members are, and they do the rest. And I mean, it is simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they have it for, their breakdown is, I believe their breakdown is organizations under 100,000 of income and organizations above 100,
Okay.
I think is the break. So that might be something to consider
So
if we're having poor communications from the accountants we're using,
I have
you know.
937.50.
Okay, yeah.
So it might be something a little bit cheaper, and it's a turnkey deal.
Sure.
You provide them the information,
They get it done.
Mhm.
they,
What is
it's
that, Parent Booster Club?
Parent Booster USA.
Parent Booster USA.
And that's who we went through to get, our 501c3
Yeah.
and our articles of incorporation. I mean, they did all that for us.
I didn't know that existed, that's cool.
I didn't
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on taxes? Do we need a motion for any of that, or?
No.
Alright. Rules and regulations and bylaws.
John still on?
Don, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
It's all yours, sir.
Hello, hello.
We can hear you.
Oh. What do you want?
Well, can you just kind of bring us up to speed with, you've sent out, you know, several emails and whatnot, and some corrections and changes, that were still needed, and if you could just kind of get us up to speed on where you're at and what you're referring to.
Yeah, after season, we sat down and read through everything again, just give it a last final good looking review, and just found some little, punctuation, capitalization, just little technical stuff like that in both the rules and regs. There wasn't that many in the rules and regs, the bylaws had a few. And so we just, I wanted to clean that up and get the document updated to where it was more precise. One thing that we did discover was, let me think, it was the finance committee was kind of in the wrong section. And so we moved the section that it was in. But other than that, yeah, it's just minor little typo things.
So you're saying the finance committee needs to be moved to a different section?
I think he's already moved it.
Yeah, we moved it
Yeah.
Okay.
to the governance section. It should have been in the governance section of the bylaws.
Gotcha.
So we just grabbed that and moved it up there, and of course that changed the table of contents. But yeah, there was no changes as far as any kind of the content.
Right.
Yeah, just need to get it cleaned up, and then, from that point, if there's anything that wants to be dealt with, then we can go from there.
Sure.
But I wouldn't try to address anything other than just that, and this, and just get them cleaned up.
So do we just need a motion to approve the grammar and punctuation?
Yes, I went through a lot of it, and, from what I've seen, he highlighted a lot of the changes that he made, and they all look right. So, I motion to approve the revised bylaws.
Hey, before that though.
Second.
Oh, go ahead.
Talk.
I second.
Go ahead. Don, you were referring to, you'd sent me a text message clarifying the Brandon and Sam deal. And per the bylaws, you were stating that there was we agreed on 2 grievance committee members per region? Is that correct?
Right, in the, when we was developing the bylaws, we was having trouble getting a couple of, regions to come up with 2 people. So to get things going, we decided to do 1 person per region, just to have a committee, and we did that, and then once the bylaws were approved in, October, then at that point, the bylaws require 2 representatives per region for the grievance committee.
So our current bylaws right now states that there's 2 grievance members per region, correct? Is that right?
Correct. And that's where you was confused, because Sam and Brandon both ran for it the first time, they came out of tie.
Uh-huh.
And the Sam, Sam just said yielded, he just yielded to Brandon and said, let him do it, and then when we just had the last one at our regionals, and Sam ended up winning that one. So our 2 reps are Brandon Wentz from Newkirk and Sam McPhee from Perkins.
So what does that do as far as the other 3 regions finding another grievance?
I don't know, I don't know what they did on their elections at regionals.
Well, the ballots were all consistent across all 4 regions. I think we just did write-ins. So, yeah, so if we're under the assumption that we need 2, then we could look to see who else was written in.
Yeah. I don't think we'll have a
Cause
problem
each
getting-
region does have 1 at least.
Yes.
Northwest has 2 at this point.
I can easily find somebody from Central.
Okay. Do we need to put that on the next meeting agenda to review that?
I would say, yeah.
But we can solicit, when we communicate with club leaders, we can ask for another,
Can we do that at
Grievance.
the scheduling meeting?
yeah.
Yes, that'd be a good place.
Okay, any other discussion about the motion at hand?
Yes. I do not believe that the board has the ability to change the bylaws. I believe that requires, I believe we created the bylaws and split out the rules and regs, because the bylaws were supposed to be changed by the membership, and I think they're supposed to vote on that, any changes to the bylaws whatsoever.
Any,
That's correct. So it can't, while we can approve the draft, I don't believe that as a board, we can approve the final bylaws.
So I send the draft to the clubs and ask for any,
An election runner, you just election runner it, I wouldn't ask for feedback, I would just say,
Election
you know,
and we did it this
Vote
time
to
last year.
approve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
show you I can pull up what we did last year, cause we did get the bylaws approved last year
Yeah.
by the,
so
My
I believe
teams.
the motion should be, amended.
I guess we don't
To
need a
state-
motion, we
you-
can just send it.
I think we should motion to submit the bylaws to the membership, the updated bylaws to the membership for approval. I believe that's what the motion should read,
so you need a second for the amendment, is that right?
yes.
I'll second that amendment.
Will you keep track of both of those?
So, actually, let's do this, so just withdraw, so I just
Yeah.
withdraw the motion,
I
you withdraw
rescind
yours,
I'll
yep,
rescind the motion.
yep. So I move to send the drafted bylaws to the membership for approval.
Second.
Second by Matt. Any discussion?
On this, are we gonna send them the notes of what was changed?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I think we should include that.
I think so too.
Yeah, that way they know what they're looking at.
Yes.
And these are only clubs who have at least
10 wrestlers,
10 wrestlers.
correct.
10 or
So
more,
we'll have to do some verification on that too, which I think,
I would send it out, and the ones that send it back, I would look at. I just sent it all.
that's a good idea.
because there are some, ghost clubs out there.
Yes.
I think the card's still on file for that,
I think so,
so
but it's under mine, but that's fine,
Yeah.
I can update that with Kristen.
that's fine.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Alright.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Rules and regulations, was there updates to that one as well?
It was.
Is there a motion to approve those?
Let's see. It's this one right here. Yep, motion to approve revised rules and regs.
Motion by Chris, second by Cecil. Any discussion?
What was updated was just grammar stuff and stuff like that, it wasn't anything major, so, yeah, it's just basic wording issues and grammatical issues.
Did Cecil second that?
Yes.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Reports. I guess I'm up first. Girls divisions of weight. So I've been talking to Gerald and Kathy, about updating the girls divisions. So let's start there. So the ask is that we split 12U from 12U to 11U and 13U. So we would then have 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, right? I just looked at the numbers. 7U had I think it was like 68. 9U had 76 last year.
At state.
At state. 12U had 96, and then 15U had, 15U had, 71. Okay, so 15U, 12U is definitely the biggest last year because it's the most, it's the most ages, outside of 15U. And so by splitting those, I think it's the right call. I don't have weights today. I don't have a weight proposal for those two divisions today, but I think that, splitting them out would certainly be worthwhile.
Don't we have Gerald's recommendation from last year on the weights?
That's making it same as the boys, that won't work.
Yeah, I don't think it works. I think we should.
No, Gerald came up with a separate.
It was,
There was a ton of weights.
a ton of weights. I can't remember.
Go from 8-man brackets at state to 3-man round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with board approval, so what I would ask for today is that we agree on the age group, or the ages,
Again, that's 7, 9, 11.
13, 15, all the odd years. So the boys would be even years, girls would be odd years. Or we could just change and go the same as the boys, which
Although
again,
you
you
still
get
have
back,
the 12 and 15.
you still get back to the 12 and 15.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But it would be 10U at least and not 9U.
Think we'll have griping about that? That we're allowing girls to do the 2-year and boys have to do a 3-year jump?
I say we keep it even across the board. I mean, if we're gonna do it this way for the boys, then what's?
So you just go to 6, 8, 10, 12, 15. And I think the only argument for girls, and I'm not a health expert, I'm not any of that, but it's like the whole thing with puberty hits earlier, so the 11, 13 thing made more sense for girls. I don't know, like, that's out of my wheelhouse, but.
Well, but you have that in boys too. Some boys hit puberty at 13.
12 and under, yeah.
Yeah, in 12 and under, and then, whenever we went to, where was it, Virginia Beach, my kid was wrestling kids that had mustaches,
Yeah.
and he was a 11-year-old.
We
Yeah.
all seen
I
Ray
think so.
Lindsay.
So I think that it all equals out, and, we can't control, obviously, that, so I think the transparency across on both groups is the fair way to go.
I think we'll have less pushback if we do 6, 8, 9, 12, 15.
Well, and I think that it'll just
10, 12, 15.
10 to make more sense. You know what I mean? Like, when you're going, you've got a girl and you're entering her in 7U, but you're also entering 8U, and, you know? I think it'd just be easier. You have a girl wrestler, so.
Well, I'm thinking logistics too, in terms of like
Numbers.
tournament, even like tournament entry and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
It would benefit Claire if we did 11, 13, 15, but that's not.
I will have a girl wrestler.
So, most cases going with girls and boys age groups being the same, which the weights are different for
Right.
girls, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do we need to, is that something that as a board we can make a motion and
Yeah, that's
vote on,
rules and
or
regs.
is it something that we need to send out?
No, that's rules and regs. We can do it.
Okay.
It's too soon.
Too soon what?
It goes the same as the boys.
Do what?
You need to wait till it grows a little bit more.
I don't think from a weights
You gotta
perspective,
water it down.
do you think even from an age group perspective,
Not the age group, the weights.
the
Oh,
weights,
weights.
I don't think we
No
can
way.
adopt the boys'
No
weights.
way.
Oh,
No.
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 You can't have
Absolutely
14, you can't have 14 weights in 12 minutes.
So,
No.
16,
Yeah.
16 weights in 12
and I
minutes.
think what we
Lucky
need to
you're
do,
27
Right.
total.
Right,
I think we can look at other, you know, big tournaments who've been doing girls' weights for a long time and stuff and look to them, but the other thing we really need to do is base it off of statistics. Look at the average weight of a 12-year-old or whatever and then go back, you know, out
Yes.
from there, right? And
Yep.
so the most weights should be in the middle, fewer weights in the end, because we can't tailor to just the one girl who's 50 pounds at 12 years old. I'm sorry.
Right.
You don't,
Right.
you're gonna have to wrestle 70 pounders, because that's the lowest.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, I definitely think that we should look at the boys' weights for the ends, but I think we gotta think about in the middle, like, I don't know that it can be every 3 pounds.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's gotta be more along the lines of 9% body weight.
Mhm.
Like, we gotta take those things into consideration and, you know, number of kids and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I just don't think that we can just purely go every 3 pounds.
Yeah.
But I think we can adopt the age divisions.
So let's do the ages today.
Yes.
I'll pull the data, I'll send it to you guys on the last 3 state tournaments, what they were, I'll use their birthday, cause I can pull their birthday, so we can pull their birthday and see where they would then fit, and then we can decide on the weights at that point. Fair?
We would only need to be really adjusting with the 8.
So what
8
weights
and
would
10.
go in the 10?
Right, it'd be the 6, 8, 10 that we would make the
Yeah.
adjustments.
Yeah, so 6, 8, 10, so 6 would probably be mostly the 7U weights.
Right.
I mean, 6U is probably gonna be, I mean, that's probably what we're gonna do for that.
Mhm.
And then we may look at adding like a 37 or, you know, something like that for
Right.
6U.
Right,
And then, I think, but 12 and 15 shouldn't change.
right.
So it's really 8 and 10, and we gotta like really get into.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
So motion to approve, is there a motion to approve the girls' divisions today?
Make a motion to mirror the age groups for the girls as same as the boys.
Okay,
Or open.
who got it? Who got the second? Matt?
Casey did.
Casey did. Motion by Cecil.
I've seconded enough for today.
Motion, always the second, always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Alright, motion by Cecil to move the girls to mirror the open, division, not boys, open. 6, 8, 10, 12, 15, age groups only for today. Second by Casey. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Dual state. So, I'd like to open this with, just kinda getting some feedback on what we thought. I mean, again, it's a complete cluster. I know it was a complete cluster, mostly because we had an extra 250 novice kids that I wasn't expecting to show up. And so, I mean, but at the end of the day, we wrestled last match at midnight, but it wasn't horrible. It wasn't like,
I
you know
mean,
what I mean? Like,
we left the arena at 3:30 in the morning.
yes.
But didn't go to bed.
We didn't go to bed till probably 7.
Yes, yes. I'm pretty sure I rolled into my driveway about 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And I just wanna speak up a little bit, just being from the Northwest, and Carla did reach out to me, and they do not wanna do that again. They want it back at Bristow where Daniel started it, and that is the path that they wanna move forward with.
So, and
And I know she's had some discussion with you.
Yep.
well, and you and I had some discussions, Matt.
Can you consider it discussion, or she is very adamant that.
So I think they have their tournament there, I just think that they don't call it state. Because whenever you have that implication of state, it makes it sound like it's an OKWA tournament, like the novice championship or the Elfin State. So I think let them keep their tournament, but just change the verbiage on the name.
Okay.
Do we have authority?
I'm
I
gonna.
don't think we have authority
Yeah,
to do
we
I'm
that.
gonna try to let you guys get all the way around the room before I throw my 2 cents on the table.
That's all I got.
I think it's their prerogative. I mean, if they wanna have it back, it was a courtesy to them. We were trying to, it was creative. We were trying to do something different, but if it didn't work for them, then it doesn't work for them.
And she did bring up the point that, and I don't remember this specifically, but, you know, there were some perks that they gained out of that, you know, OKWA, you know, helped them out with financially. But she did, and I don't know if this is in the notes anywhere, but I know you and I talked about this on the phone the other night, but they were under the impression that they was getting percentage of the money from the door
And a
and
concession.
the concession?
Never the
We don't
concession.
get-
Now,
we
I'll
never-
straighten that out right now. We don't get the concession. The concession was never on the table. Okay? The
And-
concession was never on the table.
That's
The
fine.
door was on the table, okay? And I'm just gonna point blank tell you, they made more money last year running that tournament, at the novice tournament, than they've ever made in the history of running that tournament.
And she did.
More money
And she
than
did
they've
state
ever
that.
made.
Yeah.
Okay, so
They didn't
at
have
that
any
point,
cost, I mean,
I mean,
really.
No,
they had no
the
cost.
The building, the referees.
Well, no, they did have costs, they did pay
Set up,
Tulsa
tear down.
Edison,
Set up.
set up and tear down.
But outside of that,
Okay.
How
So
much-
again,
how much was that,
no
800 bucks?
officials,
It wasn't-
No facility.
I only think it was just a couple $100.
I thought it was $450 a piece.
What did they do for awards? Like that's when I had to piece out.
Yeah,
They
they
have
had
plaques
something, they had a
or-
plaque.
They
or
did
something.
plaques.
Mhm.
Yeah, they had plaques.
Yeah, that,
So-
they would have had that anyway.
But they didn't pay the pavilion, they didn't pay for referees,
equipment.
they didn't pay for somebody to collect money to get, like, they didn't pay for any of that, like, so again, nothing against Bristow, and I think it was a ton of fun. I'm gonna stop until I get around the table. What do you think? I mean, you were there, like,
But I wasn't, like, I left it
Oh, that's
at
right.
1 o'clock, so
That's right.
I wasn't there.
Right.
So I don't have an
I wasn't there, I was in Gary, so.
what do you think?
So
They
there's
should
not.
be separated.
Yes,
Okay,
I agree
Okay.
completely.
So-
And I will say this, the only, it was too crowded. Like you said, you can't predict what your numbers are gonna be on that type of deal whenever you put an event together a month ahead of time. But one thing that was nice about it is, so that was a 6th grade and under dual. So your smaller weights, you know, it was nice having those novice kids there, because whenever they get done wrestling their individual bracket, whenever it was dual time, they were right there. And I feel like you had, fuller weights per team compared to having to give up 4 foots at those smaller weights, because how many, I think it was 43 pounds, how many open kids are you gonna have at 40 or 43 pounds, you know what I mean? And versus whenever it was at Bristow, the 1 year or 2 years I've been there, it seemed like we did have some 4 foots at those smaller weights.
Yep.
But,
Bristow's problem. If they
yeah.
want the venue,
I mean,
I mean, they want it
I
back,
was
they
just
can
trying
have
to
it,
throw a
yeah.
pro and a con, you know,
Mhm.
out there, that having it together, I felt like we filled the teams a little bit better, but I still agree it needs to be completely separate.
alright, so my 2 cents. So, number one, I think it was awesome. Like, I think it was probably the most fun. I've heard a lot of people say that it was the most fun that they've had at a tournament ever. And more than just super competitive coaches. Like, I mean, we had, like, Benita. Like, Benita was like, hey, man, thanks for that opportunity. Cause there's no way that Benita is gonna make the trip to Bristow with a separate coach, team, all of that,
That's what's.
and also attend the novice tournament. Like, it's not gonna happen. One thing to keep in mind this year is that we are in Oklahoma City for the novice championships this year. We can run more mats. So up in Tulsa, we get 14 on the floor. It is super, super tight with 14 mats on the floor. In Oklahoma City, we run 16 and there's lots of space. So it will not be near as crowded from that perspective. And the other thing to keep in mind is that Oklahoma City is always a much smaller novice championships. No, I said that wrong. Tulsa is always the smaller. Tulsa's supposed to be the smaller one,
It was not.
which is what I was banking on, but it wasn't last year. It was the full 1100, right? But we will have more space this year.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that OKWA should adopt a dual state championships and call it OKWA Dual State Championships. If Bristow wants to go have their tournament on whenever they wanna go have it, so be it. They can go back to the last weekend of December where it originally started. They can do whatever they want, but at the end of the day, I think that it was a great experience for so many of our clubs that I feel like OKWA should adopt that experience. That's my personal opinion.
But if we go in and we add, OKWA dual state championships. I mean, what's that look like from a club? You know, we go to the, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say here. We go to the regional, tournament meetings. Who's getting bumped? Because that takes up a weekend now.
Well, no, we're talking about keeping it on the same weekend, right?
What do you mean?
Against Bristow? No, I don't think we'd do it against Bristow.
I think what
Well,
he's
Bristow
saying-
would go back to the end of December.
So I think what
Like
he's
it
saying
was.
is you're gonna have,
And,
We'd
but,
be-
you're
so
gonna
you're
have
saying
other
we would,
individual
Be, like,
tournaments
on top
because
of
Gary
Gary.
is the same
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah.
And so when the novice championships in Tulsa, Gary flourishes.
It was huge, yeah.
When novice is in Oklahoma City, Gary struggles to get those numbers in there.
Yeah.
And that's for most small clubs, that's their moneymaker.
I'm almost
So-
thinking you do it after state.
Yeah, let clubs build their teams.
Cause but
We
then,
did
whatever
that
club you wrestled
2 years
with
ago.
for regionals in state, you have to wrestle for at your dual tournament, right? Cause that's the whole thing, we're not having elite teams.
Alright,
or-
so if we went down that
club
path,
teams.
the weekend after open state is high school state. The next
Yeah.
weekend is the roller duels.
Weekend before regionals.
The weekend
So
before
it's
regionals
novice.
now bumps, I mean, now you're
That's
really talking
junior
about
high
bumping.
state.
That's junior high state.
Junior high week, that's
But
junior
if
high
you're doing
state.
6th grade and under
Sixth
duels
grade
and
and
stuff,
under,
you know,
the
that's
duels
actually
are.
probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's 6th, 7th grade division.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think-
Sixth and seventh.
Yeah, I mean, now you're truly bumping a tournament to run
Yeah.
that. If you're doing it that weekend before regionals. Like, I don't know of another weekend. And again, keep in mind that just like you said, people were able to fill teams because they had the novice kids that they could grab from and put them on the roster, and they were already there.
So if we have the room in Oklahoma City, I say we do it the same time as Nova State. And what do we look at, and from a financial perspective, I don't know what it costs, but, you know, we could always do the Ford truck building.
Or that
For
other
the
building
duels.
Roller uses.
For that, yeah.
Or no, he uses.
The exchange center.
Yeah, the exchange.
When we're in
Yeah.
Tulsa, you
Yeah,
have two
when
buildings.
we're in Tulsa,
Mhm.
you have 2 buildings that are
Yeah.
close together.
Yep.
And kids can still wrestle their individuals, and they walk one building over whenever it's time for them to wrestle on their dual team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is still, like, you do have those clubs that do hold tournaments on novice state weekend, just open only tournaments that you're
Yeah, I think it's
like that,
Gary,
Gary and I don't know.
Kawita was who it was
Yeah.
last year on the other side.
see, cause didn't it used to be Veneta, didn't?
No,
or
Veneta's
there's on
JOC.
JOC,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so,
What would be the, I know
Go
we've
ahead.
talked before, what about Sunday?
What?
Cause when all the duels started, a lot of the dual tournaments were on Sundays.
Yeah.
JOC used to have a Sunday one, it used to have a dual tournament Sunday, didn't they?
Building costs.
Yeah, but really old ones. That's a long time ago.
I remember the melee that happened, there was a big old fight and
But
everything.
rather doing it
I
at
thought
the
it was
fairgrounds.
we could move right down the street in Tulsa, we could move right down the street to like Webster or Edison,
Either one.
you know what I mean?
You know, you move
So-
to a high school.
We could, I mean, it's
I'll-
not that
I'll
much
do that.
to pack up and move formats, like unload formats is not,
How about
we can set that up in our sleep.
It won't
Let's
cost.
record the energy we have right now and save that for the end of the season when we're like, what are we gonna do?
So now we have, so, hey, here's the other cool thing, is now we have enough mats that like, we can just take a set of mats over there and go ahead and set them up. You know what I mean? I mean, we got plenty, and then Sunday's a done deal and ready when we're doing setup.
Yeah.
So, it ain't like we gotta have the mats that are at the place we're at.
Yeah.
So,
There's options.
there's options, but I think, I would like for us to consider it, and we got tournament scheduling meetings in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so I feel like we gotta make a decision.
Yeah.
So it would be to have the dual tournament during Novice State at the venue or make that happen somehow.
Yep.
But Bristow will not be involved as far as running it or anything. It would be
And again, I'm still not opposed to giving that to, like, you know,
A club
figuring
that
out a
wanted
way
to
to
take
say, hey, you know, if you wanna be part of this, then every bit of that, like, we'll take every bit of that entry fee money, just like we did for Bristow last year. We'll take every bit of that and say, you help run the tournament, you guys can split it evenly between however many of you help you do it. So you're responsible for the tables, you're responsible for the weigh-ins, you're responsible for getting clubs and all that stuff together. You know, obviously I'll help with like lineups and all that stuff, but you're responsible for all of that. And at the end of the thing, like, you're gonna take all of the entry fee money, cause you know how much it is, you know how many teams you had, you know how many entries there were, you guys split that among whoever works that.
But if you do that, then you're giving people like, and I'm just, not bashing Bristow, have the most respect for them, but by doing that, you're possibly giving a club 2 tournaments.
I think you're paying them no different than you pay them to work tables
Well,
at
you
state.
give it to a club who can't run a tournament, you know, they don't have the venue, they don't have the, you know.
Here's your opportunity to show up and be part of the, helping with this new OKWA state team, dual state. And you gotta work a table, you gotta, we'll come up with a job list, like, you gotta split these up. And then at the end of it, you can split the entries among your teams.
There's plenty
come
of.
from-
Award will come out of that budget, like, we'll have to take the awards out of the
You
budget.
could do that.
Yeah.
And give them a way to have a fundraiser.
What
That
is
would
it?
be on Sunday.
I was just saying, there's plenty
I
of
like
clubs
the
that we
idea of
have,
doing it
that are
on
private
Sunday.
clubs that don't have their own
I don't like
tournaments.
giving up Sundays,
That
but
we could help
that's
them
the
with
only way that it
fundraiser.
doesn't cheat somebody out, I feel like, is to do it on
Same
Sunday.
on Sundays.
And I'm okay with Sunday too. So,
So are you saying that if we do it in Oklahoma City, don't keep the arena for Sunday, find somewhere else to go to?
I just think, Bobby makes a great point that it's gonna cost us more than we're gonna make.
Well, it's gonna cost us a lot. If we keep those venues for a Sunday, yeah, it's,
It's so expensive.
yeah, it's a losing battle.
Yeah.
So we have to find a secondary location, pack up from there and go to, which I'm good with.
If
Or we
there's
do it-
space, can
or
we
we do
do
it.
it at the same, like, how we did last year in Oklahoma City? And
Yeah.
then when it's in Tulsa, then we get a
No,
Sunday?
no, we're saying
No.
move it to Sunday so we don't compete with local tournaments who
okay.
have open, does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just don't, I don't know.
I'll be honest with you, I think that there's so much details that still need to be worked out at this point to try to throw that in on this year.
I hate to lose the momentum we had from
Yeah,
last year.
I agree.
I think we can definitely figure it out. It's just a matter of what day and where at.
And could we, so we've got 2 weeks, basically 3 weeks, if you go to Northwest, Northeast, we're what, 18th?
Mhm.
Could we reach out to the fairgrounds and just ask them, hey, this is what we're wanting to do, would you be willing to
The
discount
exchange
us?
bill's not that high.
Would you be willing to discount us if we carried over on Sunday?
Or if we use like one of the smaller buildings.
Well, because here's the deal, we actually use the venue for one day, right, when it's novice,
Mhm.
and when it's open, we use it for 2 days. So we're still using it 2 days, we're just not using it Friday, Saturday, we're using it Saturday, Sunday.
But we
I
also
have
have
the
that one day of
expense.
setup as well.
Mhm. Well, I have the Jim Norick Arena, I have the invoice here from last year, and for the facility for the 2 days with
days.
plus setup is 25,000.
And how much is it for the one day? Do we know?
I'd have to look back at novice and see if.
Hold on. What folder is that in?
OKWA board,
Financials,
open state,
22.
In Oklahoma City, I'd keep it as in the one building, same time, and then when you go to Tulsa, just use the exchange building next door. It's cheaper, a lot
Yeah.
cheaper.
And I agree, I don't wanna step on your tournament, like, I don't think that's fair.
No.
You know what I mean?
But it'd be on Sunday.
No, if we did it, run it at the same time.
You don't wanna do a Sunday,
Oh.
don't, it's
So,
okay,
you're
a lot more you're gonna get.
But if
I think it was every
found, if we did either a smaller building at the fairgrounds,
Advance also.
or even
Advance.
found
Okay.
a high school,
Hang on.
I mean,
Yeah, cause I was looking.
What
at
about the
something
next week?
I
What-
made up.
What if we did the next weekend and we did it on Sunday? We did it the next weekend, the weekend before regionals on Sunday.
What if we did it Friday night?
What if we did it Friday night?
Yeah, junior high state runs Friday and Saturday.
What if we did Friday night?
Friday night
of what?
before novice?
Before
Before
novice.
Novice State.
That's gonna be on
In
us, cause that means
fairgrounds?
we'll have to be setting up Thursday or Friday day or.
Friday
Me-
morning.
We only need, okay, so to run the dual championships, we only need 6 mats max.
So then you're gonna set up the rest of the mats after it's over?
Or somebody could be down there working on those.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying wait till it's over.
Wait a minute.
But we could get all the mats rolled out, but we don't have to have all the computers, clocks, all that stuff set up on all those.
And like, yeah, we can be working on that while
While the duels are going on. We can just start the duels at 3 o'clock, then maybe it gets a few more people in town for yours,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So what if we did Friday night?
20 for novice.
Cause we've already paid for the facility, right?
Yeah, we got the setup day.
We've already paid for setup for that
Get a
night
different
anyway.
price if you use it though. That's a setup
Yeah.
price,
That's true,
that's only
because
Because you have to have
$100.
somebody at the gate,
You're gonna pay full price if you set
Yeah.
up mats and wrestle.
yes.
But only half a day, cause we only man at the gate half a day. So we're only gonna pay the workers half a day, but I'm sure the facility price is gonna be higher,
Yeah.
but the workers themselves are only gonna be a half day deal, right?
That's what I'm saying, like, can't pay that year, so.
We
I would like for us to look into the Friday night, I think that's a good idea.
Friday night of novice.
Yep.
Do what?
Yeah,
Friday
this,
night.
this is the novice championship coordinator here, tournament director here.
Yeah, so you wanna do the,
Duels on Friday night,
oh, okay, I thought you were talking about the novice tournament. I was like, what?
no, the duels.
Starting at what, 6, 7?
I would start earlier than that, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
This year you wouldn't even have to though, right? You got enough room.
so if we're gonna go in,
Oh,
and I'm just throwing this out there, but if we're gonna go in and we're gonna add an official OKWA dual state tournament, does that require an update to the rules and regs? Because we have our open and novice state tournaments, or novice championship and open state tournament.
Arguably, yeah, cause then you'd have to list the rules for that, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, wrestlers have to be from that club, blah, blah, blah.
So then that hinders us sending out the bylaws and rules.
No, the bylaws are different than the rules and
Yeah,
regs.
they're separate.
The rules and regs we vote on and they're.
Okay.
Would we wanna order the awards for that at the same time as we do state and regional medals?
Yeah, although we could do
Unless they
plaque.
don't know
We just do
Blacks.
small blacks.
Yeah.
You say,
Yeah, just
Gary
blacks.
can make the blacks.
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah,
just
Gary can
volunteered
actually
you,
make,
sorry.
make flex, the school can.
Yep.
And they're pretty reasonable.
Okay.
And they look good, they always look good.
So,
We would need All-American though, wouldn't we? Is that what we do, or what do they call it? Or what- what do you call them?
for the medals, yeah, they could say novice state on them.
No,
They're
but-
all
I just
extra
found-
bronze.
I just found a place for the little novice state ones.
Done.
See how that works?
You just put a sticker over them?
Yeah. Congratulations.
That's horrible.
Most of those teams will never expect it.
So I know that this is something that we want to decide on, and I know that ideally it would be decided on before the scheduling meeting. But at the same time, does it have to be?
I don't think,
I mean, you know what I'm saying, like, cause.
I think we run it, and Kyle just texted me, McGill, and evidently he's eavesdropping in. But, anyway, he made a good point. He said, you know, do the OKWA, and I'd say, my opinion is we do it the night before novice state. And, you know, obviously they make weight there, that weigh-in counts for those kids the next day that wrestle on the dual teams. And we do it on Friday, get it out of the way, and then we focus strictly on novice championships on Saturday, just
Yep.
like we normally would.
and I think we need to, if we do the weights, I think we need to open it up for every kid to weigh in Friday night. I mean, they should all get the same opportunity.
And that
to
could
weigh.
be the other half of
Yeah.
the building that we're not using.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Could be
Is there
weigh-ins.
rules about weigh-ins for novice? It has to be
Yes,
same
there are.
day.
Yeah, it's not within so many hours.
For novice
So-
It's for regional.
I'll change that too.
I'm pretty sure that that's for novice.
You should change it everything.
Is that in the, that's not in the bylaws, that's in the rules and regs.
It should be in the rules and regs.
The bylaws is just the governance of the
It's the
organization
board, yeah.
should be. Yeah.
Because here's the deal, if you go to, any two-day tournament that you wrestle on, a Friday and a Saturday, that weigh-in on Friday that you weighed in at, that counts as your weigh-in on Saturday. I mean, it's the same thing, so.
I know,
Friday-
but it does
Friday-
give advantage to kids who do the dual tournament.
Yeah. Maybe that's an incentive. Hey, if I wrestle on the dual team,
Or disadvantage if you can't get on the dual team, cause you truly are a novice and not an open kid who's in.
that is something else.
Okay,
Oh, go ahead.
no,
No. I don't know if this is the time or the place for my comment.
Okay, so dual state, we gonna make a decision today, or we just gonna let it ride?
I think we need to make a decision, for sure.
I make a motion to hold dual state, OKWA dual state, Friday night preceding the novice championship tournament on Saturday.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Cecil. So the motion is to hold the OKWA Dual State Championships, a new tournament, on Friday night preceding the novice championship, the OKWA Novice Championships.
Cecil's
Motion by Matt, becoming the bride, second by Cecil.
I don't know if this needs to be amended or not, but then for us to determine the rules of said tournament, right, like.
Yep.
That will have to be added to the rules and regulations.
And to be added to the rules and regs, and then also,
I don't know the cost. What's it gonna cost us to do this at the
We
facility?
really need to look at the open and novice, like like all the things they determine in there and kind of do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Like, kinda
well-
say, like, cause all of that is clear in the rules.
Yeah, well, and then not just that, but like, how much is it gonna cost us at the facility
Oh, I see what you're saying.
to do it?
and it may be that we don't let a club run
We
it.
still pay, well, so we still pay the table workers, well, no, you don't.
Not a
Because-
dual tournament.
Not a dual tournament. The
You
clubs work
volunteer,
tables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if you are entered in that dual tournament, you've
That
gotta
comes with
provide
it.
table
Yes,
workers.
Yeah.
just like you do at every
Yeah.
dual tournament.
It's the officials.
I'm
and-
clearly not thinking, it must be the off-season.
It's the officials and the ticketing, the ticket
Yes.
booths
And
and
security.
stuff,
Yeah.
and security, they're gonna be our costs.
Yeah, and officials will be one to one, so you'll have one official per mat, and plus our head official.
Mhm.
Like, it'll just be, you know, so we run 6 mats, it's only 6 officials.
Yeah.
Like, it's 1 to 1.
And why wouldn't the money come back to OKWA? Entry fee money?
And I think it's gonna take all the entry fee money to cover the facility, the cost of the facility,
I agree.
plus some. I think it's gonna take it all plus some.
Yeah.
So, yeah, in that regard, I think if we're gonna do it on Friday night, I think it just goes towards the novice budget, and,
And
cause the novice budget's gonna have to help pay for that.
Can we
tournament.
raise the entry fee just a touch to make it where we just break even?
We could look at it, I mean, I'm not opposed to raising the entry fee, especially when we get back to cost, like, let's talk about that when we get to cost, when we know how much it's gonna cost, we'll try to figure out what it would take, make sense?
Right.
Okay.
You're talking about entry fee for the
Any-
dual
Need new
teams?
eyes.
Any further discussion, we'll say that again,
What would you negotiate,
the cost, the entry
Entry
per
fee.
turn, the per team
per
cost.
team?
team,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
per team cost. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Now, one thing too is to
We
look
missed
at.
discussion.
I'm on a different subject. Never mind.
Hey, give me one second, let me do equipment, and then you can do new business.
Alright, yeah.
I think we've already covered
We
equipment.
did cover it, I just put all this stuff that you
Yeah.
wanted to discuss here. I don't know if the equipment was the computers that you brought up.
I think it was the computers, I think that was the extra piece.
Okay.
Alright, new business.
New business. We need to do something, and I think it needs to be something in the rules and regs that clubs have got to start following is, I understand the beginning of the year, you have new parents that have never been to the sport of wrestling and whatnot. And some of you might know where I'm going with this, but it needs to be, something needs to be said, say, okay, before December 15th, you have a 1 pound allowance. After December 15th, you have to make weight. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, you don't know how many butt chewings I took at Novice State last year, because kids would come in and they would be 3-4 pounds over, and we were sending them home, and they're like, well, at so-and-so tournament, they just bumped us up to the next weight. Well, this is Novice Championships, I mean,
Yeah.
this isn't
Yeah.
So do we,
I think that
the
It
alternative.
needs to be addressed.
I think it's on the flyer that you have to.
Well,
make
we
weights.
follow.
Bigger, bolder letters is what I put in our lessons learned.
Yeah.
Bigger, bolder letters, don't make weight, don't wrestle.
Well, and it says on the flyers, we follow the NFHS guidelines, and if you go to those guidelines and rules, it does state that you have to make weight for whatever way you're entered at for that tournament.
Yeah.
How many parents, I'm just saying, clubs are giving kids too much leeway throughout the year, and it becomes an expectation, and then
So,
daddy's threatening to whoop your ass because their daughter can't wrestle,
so,
but she's 3 pounds over.
That was fun, I forgot about that.
oh,
It
I
sucked.
took all the, yeah.
I send them
I-
to Jeremy, and then Jeremy would send them back to me.
And so at some point they got sent to me, so thank you both. But
But,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I truly believe the focus and the goal of the organization is to get these kids to wrestle, but maybe we need to do better as an organization to educate people, educate parents about what it means to make weight and the requirements.
But I think that's a coach thing.
I
I think you put that on a coach.
responsibility.
You put that
I
on a
think
coach.
it's a leadership at the club level has to be on point, otherwise
Yes.
we run into these issues later.
Yes.
So I do like the idea that we split up the scheduling meeting, cause I'd like to kinda use that as a pre-season
Yes.
coaches meeting to say,
Yeah.
you have to have kids on rosters, you have to be clear with them about these rules and expectations, cause when they get to state, this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So I like the
And
idea.
coaches have to be on freaking rosters.
Yes.
I mean, that was a nightmare for her.
She did a lot of work, she did a lot of pre-work to,
Yeah.
Avoid that.
before she's even on the board.
That was so bad.
So all I have to say is
Maybe we, well, go ahead.
yeah, all I have to say is, yeah, I think if we are more clear about that to our club leaders, and that they need to be checking their emails and keeping their contact information up to date.
And maybe we set a deadline on, these coaches not getting registered, because I'll be honest with you, I was shocked at some of the names I saw that was on that list that have been doing this for years. Years, I mean, not to pick on Morrison, but, I mean, they're calling me going, hey, why can't we get in the door, we ain't even got a coach's badge. What the hell have you been all year? You know,
Yeah.
but we set a date that says, coaches, you have to have your paperwork and all your safe sport training done by December 1st, or your kids aren't allowed to enter into tournaments.
The hard part is, it's the enforcement of that at local tournaments, right? Like,
Yeah.
at local tournament, like, that's the hard part, is it's not until novice championships that we're the first ones to enforce the coaches stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so how we get them to do it at their local level, and you know, some of those clubs are like, I'm not messing with that.
Yeah, so,
I don't care.
yeah. So I do wanna point out too, like, the whole, like, parenting and all that, like, last year, Team Tulsa, we made kids weigh in Saturday morning. Like, we made every single kid step on scales, everybody, every Team Tulsa kid, my kid, everybody's kid stepped on a scale on Saturday morning and weighed. I moved 260 kids that morning to a different weight class.
Oh, yeah.
260 kids of 925. I mean, that's 25%.
I was moving kids up there weighing them in
Yes.
all afternoon.
Like me, you, and on Springdale, Mike Baker
Yeah.
was like constantly, and Wyatt, I think he even had to like jump in and help us move kids. I mean, like it was a constant stream of moving kids.
We shouldn't
How
be-
many of those
It'll get
kids?
worse next year.
How many of those kids weigh in on Thursdays and they're, you know what I mean? Like, so again, I think I every tournament I help with, I am strongly opposed to home weigh-ins.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
Remote weigh-ins, home weigh-ins, out. Make them step on the scale Saturday morning.
Those are the clubs
Period.
that struggled the most.
Period. Like we
Not
did it at
realizing,
Salina,
like, oh, I gotta
we
weigh
did it at Team Tulsa, we did it at Sperry, like all the big ones that I go help.
Well, the
We
COVID,
made the kids step on the scale Saturday morning.
the COVID killer, wiped out the 1 year, and I'll be honest with you, it is from a club running a tournament
Yeah.
perspective, it is less of a hassle to let them do home weigh-ins.
Yeah.
But from the integrity perspective,
Well, and isn't that what we're supposed to be teaching these kids?
Right.
yeah.
So, and I will tell you that at the ones I'm at, it'll be a $5 rebracketing fee. $5 rebracketing fee next year for you to have to move away. So, or you can go home.
Hey.
They're your choices. We're gonna make the clubs a few extra dollars,
I like
so.
it.
I do 15.
Well,
So,
most of the big tournaments I got here are 25, so.
what if,
That's
How much?
true.
25.
I thought you said it.
25.
25 too. I was like, okay, make way, boys.
25. So-
When we were talking about the coaches passes, would it be something worth, like, discussing with club leaders or whatever, like, hey, you're hosting a tournament, and these guys show up and say they're coaches, and they don't show you their coaches band, then you could charge them $5. But that way that, like, they're more incentive to get their card, so they're not $5.
Good idea?
I mean,
Yeah.
They're on a approved, I mean, at this point, what we'd have to do is an approved list that's
yeah.
distributed every Thursday or something, because
yeah,
the
absolutely.
website's not printing the badges like they're supposed
Yes.
to, so.
But I mean,
But right, if they're on a list, like, we have a list of approved coaches on the
Yeah.
website right now. So
Okay.
if your name's not on this list, then, and they can show their ID, just their photo ID to
Yeah.
get that, right? You know, so they can get in the door for free, or they
you
can
can
pay.
pay
Good
a
idea.
gate fee.
Yep.
Buy a floor pass.
Good idea. So I have one more thing before we jump back to the website. We need to do a agenda for the tournament scheduling things. We did that last year, done it the last couple of years. I think it works really well.
Same
That way-
agenda.
That way both meetings get the same agenda. Obviously, other things are gonna come up, and that's perfectly fine.
Mhm.
But I think having a set agenda for both meetings to say, this is what we're talking about, is a great deal.
We might have a template from last year that we can pull up. And then, cause one of the things I haven't done yet, but I wanna work on is, it not necessarily a contract, but something similar, something informal, but formal enough to kind of expectations about the equipment. You know,
So that probably needs to be on the agenda.
yeah.
The equipment for anybody running a tournament.
But I think we can discuss right now, like, what are the things that we are are we gonna require deposit? Are we gonna require payment of equipment?
Yeah, we're gonna charge for 2 years. Like, are we gonna go back and start? I mean, it's not
We haven't been
unfair.
doing it,
It's not
but-
unfair to charge a tournament.
Cause who
I mean,
you
cause we're
collect?
super cheap. I mean, I think we were doing before, pre-COVID, when we were charging, it was $25 for the mat and $25 for the clock and computer.
Yeah, it was like
So
$200
it's-
minimum.
And a $200 minimum.
Yeah,
For set of 4.
Basically a set of 4 minimum.
yeah.
And then it was 25 more.
So, I mean, I don't know if we wanna hash that out now, or if we wanna send some information between now and next time of what and.
It's his tournament, he can do what he wants.
But-
Actually, not his tournament this year.
But things like that, like, just that they have to be respectful of our equipment, they have to bring it back,
Yes,
To
you gotta
where
return
you
it to
picked
where,
it up.
where it picked it up, yeah.
which now having 4 trailers, I think that's gonna be better.
Yes.
You know, we're not gonna have as much issue, but it's still an issue, I mean,
Right.
if you have somebody out in Tahlequah has your equipment.
Yep.
Even though that's still northeast, you're gonna be.
Yep.
It's gonna be, have to be.
And we're gonna have to get back together at the end of the tournament scheduling meetings and try to figure out, like, cause, you know, I mean, not every every weekend is gonna need a trailer. And I know we wanna try to keep them more or less where they're going,
Mm-hmm.
but there may be times where the Northwest needs to and Northeast don't need one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
we'll have to think about that.
So at the scheduling meetings, we need to, when they sign up, we have to inquire about,
Good equipment needs.
equipment, correct, equipment need.
Okay,
So last year on the agenda, we had the new website, coaches background check process, the updates to the bylaws, and that was a voting via election runner. And then regional balancing ideas, we'll take that off this year.
And if anybody has any questions about that, I think we've decided to postpone that because we do have so much restructuring in the central, at least.
Yeah.
So we wanna wait to make a decision on that until after the season.
please take off redistricting.
Yeah, but I'm saying if anybody,
Like,
if anybody
if I have to go
asks
in front of them and
anybody-
go one more time, hey, yeah, it's our annual meeting, let's talk about redistricting. Like, they might throw me out of the room. They were ready last year.
No, we already decided in the last meeting.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That we were going to talk about that after numbers at the end of the season.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if anybody asks you, like, why aren't we doing that? Just
Right.
say, that's what we're at.
So,
Very good.
do we wanna hit on the website at
Hang
all?
on, real quick, can it,
May I make one quick statement?
yeah,
Yeah, I was just wanting to let everybody know that after the season, that we did sit down and kind of crunch some numbers and discovered that when we are balancing regions, we better look at, now we have girls regions. And if we balance them for the boys, the girl regions look terrible. But if we balance them for the girls, the boys look terrible, they're not quite as bad. So, keep that in mind as we move forward with that project.
thank you.
Thanks.
Good idea, Don, thank you.
Are we gonna insist that if you're hosting a tournament, you have to be in the scheduling meeting?
I think yes.
no phone-ins or like,
I mean,
Well,
I've always
I think-
had it this
I think there
weekend.
should be phone-ins, cause there are people that actually, work shift work and.
Isn't there a rep, like
They
they
can have
consider a
somebody come
rep
for
or
'em.
something? It doesn't have to be the
I
head
mean,
coach.
I
If
agree.
if you stand to make thousands of dollars, and arguably from our work, because we're helping set up and do all that stuff, I think you can make a meeting
Yeah.
anywhere in the state of Oklahoma.
yeah, I think that that's important, in the past, we've always let it fly. Well, we know this is Choctaw's Day and whatever, and, they didn't show up, but we'll put them on there anyway. I think we need to stop doing that and hold people accountable to actually show up and put in the effort to get on the schedule.
So at the end of the meeting, the schedule is the schedule, and you're not getting on it.
I mean, if there's,
Now, if there's open dates,
open dates are different.
then we can discuss that, but I mean. if you-
Define open date. If I'm 61 miles from a tournament that I don't wanna go to, do I get to hold the tournament?
Isn't that in the rules?
It is in the rules.
Mm-hmm.
So if I just have to find me a facility 61 miles away from Team Tulsa's tournament, cause I don't like Team Tulsa,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Technically.
And now, oh, by the way, I want the novice side of that. You can have open, but I want novice, and I'm gonna be within 61 miles.
You're still.
Well,
I'm
you're making
still
the argument,
scorned about
though.
that, aren't you?
I'm pretty bitter about that.
Well, you're making the argument though that all that should be hashed out at that meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
The meeting, the schedule is the schedule when we leave the meeting. If you want on the schedule, you better be at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, OKWA is not gonna advertise for you a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair.
I think that's something that we send out multiple times in emails to the
I plan on
clubs.
texting everybody who ran a tournament last year in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And being like, you better be at the tournament.
OKWA's schedule after the scheduling meetings?
I think that's fair.
You have to be present. I mean, that's,
They can
it's,
send
have to be
somebody if they
present and
can't make
and,
it.
right, there won't be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think had to be more lenient because of COVID. There were so many times where people were still trying to find places to even host and run. So
Right,
I think
but,
we had to be more lenient, but I don't think we have to anymore. Right.
Agreed?
Sounds good.
So, number 2 on that topic, I think we need very clear criteria. I know there's kind of been this unspoken thing about, who gets to run the tournament on the weekend that they want. About, who was there last year and who had it in the previous, all that stuff happening, open and novice, the whole girls thing. Like, I think we do girls different than you guys do girls down here. Like, we only let one tournament on the east side of, like, northwest, northeast gets one tournament for girls. So,
We're pretty much.
Chandler got it first. Pryor doesn't get one. Pryor has 800, 900 kids show up, and they are not allowed to run a girls because Chandler's in the northwest, which we consider east, and they're forever far apart. I mean, they're 2-hour drive, something like
I heard
that
a lot of
apart.
grievance about it actually.
Right. And there's no west tournament on that weekend that has girls. So technically, Chandler could be the west tournament, Pryor could be the east tournament, but at the same time, like, I don't want to tell Chandler, hey, I know like, that's kind of their pool to get kids too, like, girls, like, and Team Tulsa sends kids to both, like we do. I mean, we send kids to both, but at the same time, like, I think we got to standardize the rules because I think we may have a lot of clubs, try to ask for tournaments this year that haven't in the past. So we need to understand, like, what's the rule for open and novice? If somebody wants novice, do they get it? Or if somebody also wants to run a tournament inside the 60 miles, do we now split the open and novice back up? Because a lot of clubs are gonna be like, no. You know what I mean? Like, I've had that. I had it last year, I get it this year. Like, I think we need very clear rules walking out of here of here's, and I think it should be on the agenda of our term scheduling meetings. Like, here's what it is.
I mean, it's in the rules and regs,
Is it?
The girls?
not on the girls,
Is any of that in the rules and regs?
on the 60-mile deal.
60 miles is,
60 miles
that's
is.
the only rule that's in there, that's my knowledge.
Right, there's nothing
You
saying
want
that.
something written about breaking up open and novice or
Who?
girls?
Who gets precedence on a date?
See, most of the clubs in the south, they don't have a venue big enough to run open and almost most of them are open.
Right.
And so, there's no one splitting up, so for the south, if there was another club that wanted to start running, there's not gonna be, I hate that, but there's not gonna be another club that's gonna jump in and run a tournament. They get novice that weekend. I think Elgin's the only one that actually runs open novice and girls.
And Ogre when we can.
So So,
They
60
can.
miles.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
When they can.
are you looking at the rules and regs?
Yeah.
So there's the 60-mile thing, right?
If clubs who forfeit the regular tournament date due to hosting regionals will retain their incumbent rights to their bid once they're no longer hosting regionals.
Yeah, so that's basically saying if you volunteer to host regionals and you get it, you don't get your regular tournament unless, of course, it's an open date. So if somebody else, you know, if Blackwell wanted to jump in because Newkirk's running that weekend, Blackwell wanted that weekend, or some new place wanted to run it on Newkirk's weekend, they get the tournament, because Newkirk has regionals.
But then Newkirk gets their day back.
But they get it back the
They
next
get
year,
it
but
back
they
the
don't.
next year.
Yes, they get their date back the next year.
Okay.
But there's nothing that says you get your date back the next year if you just had it last year. Like, there's nothing, you know, Sperry's had the exact same date since 1976 or 1974, something like that. I mean, they're the first Saturday in December every single year since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Nothing in our thing says that Sperry gets its first weekend in December again next year.
It's unspoken.
It's kind of an unspoken rule, or unwritten, I guess.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, does there need to be a rule even?
So, like,
I think that's something we work out at the regional, at the scheduling meeting.
But how would you decide if someone else said, okay, well, I want this first weekend, like, then how do you decide at the meeting, like, how does that decision get made?
For example, yours, so you're looking at moving dates, cause you've been the second weekend, the second Saturday.
We've always been the weekend after JOC.
After JOC.
No.
Yes, we have.
I understand what weekend you've been,
Yeah.
but that's the second Saturday in January. You've always been the second Saturday in January, because
Yeah, 'cause
JOC's always been the
New Year's
first
Eve
Saturday.
weekend.
It's not the first Saturday in January anymore.
Yeah.
It's now the 31st, which is the last weekend in December.
Yeah.
So now, you're now saying, I'm the first weekend after JOC, but that's different according to the OKWA schedule. Cause the OKWA schedule says, what Saturday in the month are you?
Right.
I'm the first Saturday. Sperry, I'm the first Saturday in December. Bixby, I'm Thanksgiving Saturday. The fourth Saturday in November, always. Team Tulsa, I'm the second in November. Chandler, I'm the first in November.
So can we add that to the rules and regs that consideration for previous year's tournament schedule be priority?
Yes, I think it should be rule
Not
number
the
one.
end all be all, cause
I think it should be rule number one.
But
I think rule number one should be, if you have the date, if you had that weekend in that month last year, you get first say on that weekend.
But
the next-
that's
What if
not-
we did 2 consecutive years? Cause some clubs, they bounce around each year for a
Right.
tournament. It has to
Right.
be 2 consecutive years on that same weekend. And then that's
So
that
if you
weekend.
did that, if that was the case, that would move us back a week.
You'd be the same, you'd still be opposite Salina, which is the second Saturday.
Yeah, but the way it is,
Versus where it is this year, you're moving up a week.
You're
What
moving
you're
up a
saying.
weekend, which is the same as
because
Bonita.
of the way the calendar falls.
Mm-mm. If you go back far enough, you'll find a JOC date where Sunday was the first, and the first Saturday was the 6th, and JOC was on the 5th and 6th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause JD was in the hospital that year,
So-
I remember that.
I'm not wrong.
So, the reason why the dates for JOC has changed is because of the Cattlemen's Congress
Yeah.
that comes in.
Yeah.
So our date had to change from the first Saturday in January, which is normally what it goes by, to where it is now because of the Cattle Congress that's coming in. So for the next few years, we have some dates that are moving around because of the Cattle Congress.
But it's
So
still gonna be-
JOC is always, according to how we've done it, was always the first Saturday in January, always. But because of the Cattle Congress coming in this year and their dates, we had to pull our date up to the 30th and 31st. So that's why,
Yeah.
the calendar didn't change, it's because of the scheduling at the facility that we had to change.
Okay.
And you gotta be out by 8 o'clock and all that good
Yeah.
fun stuff.
there-
So it'll be an early,
we
it'll
do
be an
the
early New
7th.
Year's Day for you.
We do the
Or New Year's
7th,
Eve.
which typically
The
ours, no, it's the 7th.
So last year you were the 7th.
So Bonita's still keeping that first weekend in
Yeah.
January? Okay, so they're not gonna move theirs to
No.
mirror
They're
JOC?
not gonna
And
be on
Salina's
top of
doing the
JOC, they're
weekend
staying
after.
where they're at.
Salina's the weekend before Tulsa Nationals. They're always the weekend, the second Saturday.
And so,
Tulsa
and
Nationals is
Blackwell and
always the-
Salina's always been on the
Yes.
same deal.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with you moving your date, like,
No,
don't get me wrong.
I think it'd be great for both
Yes.
tournaments.
Yes, yeah, I think it's a good move. I'm just saying that if
Sorry,
somebody
you
else
gotta
walks in and says, hey, I want this date,
Let's just address the elephant in the room, cause we know what we're talking about. Where does that put Ponca? Because they don't wanna be on the same weekend.
well, I think
as-
they're gonna flip and go the same weekend as Salina.
Okay,
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
That's what Lane told me this week.
Yeah,
okay.
they're gonna move to the
Cause
13th.
I know she said that they didn't wanna be on the same weekend as Tulsa Nationals, it just wouldn't.
They
work.
won't,
Yeah.
they won't. Right, they'll be the second. Tulsa Nationals is always the third Saturday.
Right.
Always the third Saturday.
So then they'll just be on the same weekend as Salina
Cattle Congress.
and see how that goes.
What is it?
So they're just gonna switch to the same weekend as Salina?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that makes sense.
Ponca's kind of the exception, because if you'll remember back 2 or 3 years ago, they were that extra weekend
Yeah.
that was in November.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was an extra weekend in January, so they slid in that
Is
day.
Salina doing duels also?
No,
Okay.
So do we need to make a motion for the rules?
I think that we should put these in the rules and regulations and adopt those rules
So
and regulations.
say the language, make the motion.
That's a whole other
So I think rule number 1, so changes, I think these are changes that need to be made to the rules and regs. Are you listening, Don?
Taking a nap.
Alright,
In fact, yeah, we need to make a sheet of all of these details you're
Okay,
talking about,
you
yeah,
got
put
it.
it in an addendum.
okay, so rule number 1 is I think if you had that same weekend the previous year, you get first dibs at that the following year. 2 consecutive years. If you've had it the previous 2 consecutive years, you get first dibs the next one. I think rule number 2 is,
Hang on, well, so that means if you only had it 1 year, then somebody can challenge you.
somebody can challenge you, and then it comes down to a vote of who you're gonna go and all that
Okay.
at the meeting. We'll get there. We'll get there, right? So rule number 2, I think is if you have open, so really, rule number 1, that, what I just said should be rule number 2, because rule number 1 should stay the 60-mile rule. No tournaments within 60 miles. Okay? So then rule number 2 would be if you had it the previous 2 years, you get first dibs. Rule number 3 should be if another team wants to run a tournament within the 60 miles, then you have to pick if you want open or novice. That's terrible, right?
That's not gonna go well.
I know, it's not gonna go well at all.
The teams don't even want it. They wanna take their kids to the same place.
I agree. I
Coaches have gotten
completely agree,
spoiled.
especially the places where
Well,
it fits,
And you're talking about like the small teams that don't have the coaching power to do that.
right?
But
And your numbers.
if we ever get back to the numbers that we used to be at, I mean, we had to split tournaments from all tournaments.
We used to have to split tournaments because we used to run about 10 to 11 matches per hour. We don't do that anymore.
That's true.
We run 17, 18 an hour.
But still, I mean,
But you're not
I mean,
wrong, I mean, it does
yeah.
get to be.
We
too
ran
big.
1,182 kids on a Saturday in Salina.
yeah,
1,182 on a Saturday in Salina.
I saw pictures of that place.
Right. It was in the middle of COVID where we were supposed to be at 25% capacity.
Yeah, you were
It's
at 125.
So, anyway,
We have girls tournaments too now, so that could be a separate one, if somebody, we'll get the numbers up.
yeah.
We have 3
One,
different tournaments.
one per.
Cause that's the other idea, like, where do the girls go? They have to go open.
Yes.
So if you get open.
I think you gotta have a good.
You get open, you
well,
get girls.
so then I think another bullet point needs to be 1 girls tournament east, 1 girls tournament west.
I'm a big proponent of numbers, I agree, I think you do weaken, you know, brackets and stuff whenever this spread is in, but.
It's gonna be tough. So like Central and Southern's gotta share a girls tournament. Is that fair? Not fair. I don't know. Like,
It's a hardship on girls,
okay,
right? They
so
gotta
now we're
travel
all,
further.
so now we're all figuring out real quick why this was never put down on paper. There are so many exceptions.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, I can figure out.
so then the question becomes, do we go back to just let the people at the meeting figure out who's gonna be on the schedule?
That's what you do.
I think that's, and what we've done in the past in the east is if it came down to it, we just voted. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, we just
But that's
voted.
why it's so important that they have to be
The
there.
people in the room
right?
voted, if there was that big of a conflict, the people in the room voted on which one was getting the meeting, which one was getting it, by secret ballot. So do we not
So
put it down on
scrap-
paper?
So scrap the rules and leave it to a vote
Yes.
if you want
It's
to.
okay.
You're gone, yes.
Okay, I told somebody I would bring it up. So,
It's like the
there we go. Yeah. There you go, Kyle, I brought it up.
Thanks,
The ru-
Kyle. Now my head
Okay.
hurts, Kyle.
Right? It's all Kyle's fault, always. Okay, moving on. Did you have something else?
So no
Did I
motion,
send somebody
no
else?
rules?
No, nothing, no changes.
Another system to maybe consider is, instead of going by third, second week of the month and all that kind of stuff, that always changes, is just number the tournament weekends. From 1 to 15 or however many weekends, and stick with the weekend number.
So,
Just a thought.
yeah, I think that's, I mean, a lot of other states do that. But I think what you're gonna run into there is now, there's gonna be times where my weekend falls on Tulsa Nationals and I can't run it on Tulsa Nationals weekend. Because of the way that extra weekend floats between November,
Right,
December,
right.
and January, and sometimes February. Like, you're gonna get mixed in with a JOC or a Tulsa Nationals, and you're like, I'm not running on a weekend, I'm the weekend before that. Does that make sense? So like having it that, and there's just, I mean, to be honest, I think it, for the most part, works out pretty well, where you have these teams that have to kind of float that extra weekend. So they're the extra weekend in November, or the extra weekend in December, or the extra, where it doesn't work is like this year, where the 25th is a Saturday. Like, this is kind of the odd man year, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, we have those Christmas tournaments that are on Wednesday. And last year, Louisville had 800 kids, you know, so, and Brushy had 300. I mean, it wasn't terrible. So, yeah. Anyway. Okay, no motion, moving on. Anything else under new business?
Yes, I have one more thing. So, it was brought to my attention, there might be some interest in doing like a preseason novice type tournament to get some of the novice kids involved and show them what to expect at a tournament. And for several years now, Tom Ward has been talking to me about, man, I wanna get like a clinic for our officials together. That way they can kinda have an understanding of how flow works at a table.
Did we try
So,
it last year?
We didn't do it.
We
Um,
tried though.
We scheduled
Talked
it
about it a
and
little bit.
something, or we talked about it and it never.
I thought we made the
No,
tournament
we
and then
didn't.
it didn't
And
make
didn't make
Yeah, they didn't make.
Hey,
Is that what it was?
Yeah, we
They're
made the
trying to
tournament and
rebuild
it had
that
like
thing.
100 entries.
They'll
Maybe
be
that's what
October
it is.
22nd,
Um,
and we can do it on the field on the lights.
Anyway.
They're on a football field team.
So,
Okay.
We can do all of it.
from what I hear out of the
Long
northwest
lines,
area
open curls,
and
everything.
some
Even
northeast,
old-timers that
there's a
are-
lot of interest in doing something like that.
I think he has a facility already.
I'll need your help though.
And then,
If you're open.
yeah, it gives us room to train some officials on how to use live score. So if a table worker is on their phone playing and they miss something, they don't have to call for me, you, Jeremy, whoever, to run a computer or to fix it. They can kind of have an idea of how to fix it themselves right there at the computer. It also gives, Tom a chance to let some of those newer guys on the mats and correct some mistakes, just kind of fill them out and help.
Hell, I got stuck running the table in all the state, Jennifer just kept sending me matches.
So-
And I was looking up at her going, what?
So-
And there's mats all around me, not wrestling, I'm like, yeah.
So where are you proposing we do this?
So I wanted to get the board's thoughts on this before I found a facility.
Okay.
I'm sure I can get a facility, but I just wanna get an idea of what you guys are thinking. If you guys think it's a good idea, I think that we, should do it.
Do we wanna do one in the east and one in the west, or just one tournament?
I think just one, I think we're not gonna have enough
Okay,
participation to do two.
okay, I agree. Can we start it at like 11
Yeah,
or 10?
yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, let's
Well,
give
and-
the officials, cause I think we had talked about like letting the officials kinda get together.
Right.
Really go through some stuff, maybe we even get some kids there to
Mhm.
wrestle early, kinda let them call matches, like they
Yeah.
can critique each other.
Well,
And then we start a full tournament kinda thing at like 11?
I'm talking like a $5 entry.
Yes,
Basic.
super cheap,
I mean, you can even just weigh them in when they get there and put them in pools.
yes.
I mean, it doesn't have to be
And-
anything.
You
that's-
can use your
that-
theory.
And that's the other thing I would like to talk about is the format of the tournament. I'd like to do something more like a random draw, kind of random draw, like are you open, like, are you beginner, novice, advanced? Or like, rather I said twice. So if you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, you can sign up for the tournament. When you get there, we'll weigh you, we'll kinda do what you're talking about, like, we'll group things together, we'll let you wrestle over here, wrestle over there, if you wanna go wrestle this other kid, like, we'll just put that match in.
The only argument I would say though is you're not really setting them up for expectation for the season. So if it's too different from what it, like, cause some of this is also new for the.
Yeah, for the novice
That's the whole
side.
point, is
So-
the novice kids.
And so
or-
maybe novice, we bracket, maybe
Yeah.
if they're a novice kid, maybe we bracket them and kinda get them familiar with all
Yeah.
that, and the open kids, maybe we just let them wrestle random, you know what I mean, like,
Honestly, what you really need, and we can open it up to anybody who wants to come, but if you could just get 3 big clubs to commit that they're bringing all of their kids, then
What?
that'll work.
yeah, and I
Does that
know we
make
can get
sense?
Team Tulsa.
Right. I
So
bet
we
get
can bring
Stand
Team
Fast.
Tulsa, a big, yeah, I bet we could get Stand Fast. There might be another M club in the, you know, we could get.
But right, if you kind of make
Right.
help, that will help your numbers, cause you
Yeah.
know at least those 3 clubs.
I'm
are coming.
proposing this kind of before the season starts, like a preseason novice tournament. So I'm thinking October 22nd, because there's nothing that happens on that weekend. The weekend afterwards is, some other things.
You're still looking at youth football is going on.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be looking at that till December.
Yep.
So,
Mid-November.
So, and we're not saying everybody's gonna show up, we're not saying, but I think it's a good idea, so
yeah,
I think
it's
we
just
schedule
It's
it.
just opportunity.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we schedule it,
Give them ribbons or something and.
and I
send them
think
on
we,
the way.
and I think we announce it loud and clear at the meeting.
Yeah.
So, we have a place in the east, it sounds like, if we wanted to do it up there, or if we wanna do it on the west side.
I'll open to whatever. I haven't looked at a place yet, so if you have somewhere already in the east, I just say we do it there.
So, I think you said Webster, right?
Yeah.
Webster's available,
Yeah.
and I know the guy, like, I used to wrestle the guy growing up, it's Nick
Yeah.
Eves, do any of you know him?
Yep.
It's Nick, right? Yeah, and so, he's trying to build a program, like, he'd love to get us there, and I'm certain that we can figure it
We
out,
can
so
show
if we,
them Blue Tea over there too.
yeah.
Wasn't there a dude named Biff Jones from Tulsa
So
Webster?
choosing a novice tournament on the 22nd.
Who?
Biff Jones, you know,
Are we
yeah.
calling
When
it
he
a
Tulsa
tournament or a
Webster
clinic?
broke
Is it
down. Is
a?
he?
I mean,
Cause it's like a scrimmage basically, right? Scrimmage to a game, so this would be a
Yeah,
camp, a
I would
clinic.
be
a-
outside.
We'll just call it like a preseason kickoff tournament or something,
Yeah.
like, we'll just call it the officials preseason tournament or something.
OKWA
We can
preseason.
reserve the football field and the gym just in case of rain or something.
Preseason
Yeah.
kickoff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we just do it in the gym.
Just do it in the gym.
Yeah, just do it in the gym.
What do you think, 6
So-
mats, 8 mats?
The 22nd.
Huh?
6 mats?
Yeah, 6 straight mats, we'll see what the injuries look like, and and again, we're gonna have like a bunch of officials there, we can run as many as we want,
Yeah.
and they're not costing us anything.
Well, and my thought process is I want to have the officials at the tables.
Yeah, yeah.
Not officiating matches.
Well-
I mean, like the new guys, yeah, have the new guys out there.
But at the same time,
And just
like,
rotate them.
yeah, you can just rotate all the officials, like, we can make them work most of the tables, if we have the numbers, so we'll do what we can. But I'd say let's just put it on the schedule for the 22nd, and go, yep.
Yep.
The last weekend in October, the 28th or 9th,
Yep.
I'm trying to run a tournament, just so you guys know.
That's kids preseason nationals.
Yeah, and I know most of them will be up there. Yeah, in Iowa, I think it is it right? It's Iowa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Matt Gears, trying to come down here and do a tournament is basically what they're trying to do. So he does one at the end of the year, he's trying to do a preseason, and then he does one in March for postseason.
I'm pretty sure.
I told him he's not allowed in November to February.
Mm-hmm.
So, and there's not been, we looked at the schedule, there's not been an October, last weekend in October date since Morrison quit doing it, you know, several years ago.
Mhm.
So that's why we picked that. If one comes up next week's at the tournament scheduling meetings, we'll cancel.
Yeah.
We aren't gonna do it. But if there's no other meetings, we do plan, or no other tournaments, we do plan on trying to run a tournament that weekend.
Okay.
It'll be high school as well.
All right. I think it's all from the business.
Website.
Okay, we gotta,
Quick comment,
Yeah.
may I?
yeah,
On everything? Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could talk to Tom and Greg. I think it would be good if we could get more referees if we would get those 2 guys to put something together utilizing our new website and have them certify our refs for us. Cause most of the stuff on the test that you take for OSSAA, it doesn't even apply to our league. And I think if we didn't charge as much and we controlled that, and then we actually certified them through our organization and trained them through these, tournaments and stuff, then I think we get more participation in that. That's just a thought. You might talk to them about that idea.
It's probably a good idea. I've taken that test. It has nothing to do with what we do. I mean, it's for controlling a dual meet. I mean, at the end of the day, like 90% of the questions are
Yeah.
dual, two teams dueling, who, do you have to sign the bout sheet before or after? Do you have to sign the final score? Do you have to submit that? What if kid shows up with one green singlet and the other one's got red singlets on? Like, you know, how do you handle that? Like, that's what the rules are. I mean, it's silly. So.
Thank you, Dawn.
Website.
Do we know, we'll have to set, basically reset for the new season.
Yes, there's an archive somewhere on there, or something like that. Let's see.
Are we gonna be able to enter kids? Or
For
are we,
tournaments
is that
now.
done?
For tournaments?
Yes.
We can still do roster,
You just need to use flow.
yeah, we can still do roster, and the only issue that we run into is just making sure, yeah, I mean, everyone likes entering their own kids on Flow, it seems to be working better. It's just the whole verification if they're on an OKWA roster, which, if you ask Terry Davis, he would say years ago, you know, before we had all these electronics, you know, and all those other benefits and such of online, then you just made it right at regionals, you know, and.
So, yeah, so
Fire.
there is a way within Flow to set up every team with like their own team and just verify, and we can put them under OKWA. So we can say, you know, what is your team on Flow? We can add them, and then we can have them make like our OKWA remote desktop thing. Like we can make that an administrator on every team that's an OKWA team. And that way we can kind of control, like, you know, we can see all the rosters, we can do verification, like, I mean, so there would be some level of help for that. The one thing we're not gonna be able to, you know, truly do is match up and say, have you paid for this kid or not paid for this kid? But we'll at least be able to go in and say, how many kids are on your roster, like, and see all that stuff. I think it would help. I think it would help with, you know, like, kids not getting entered, you know, 14,000 times for different profiles in Flow as well. I mean, because some of them you look at, Claire Lancaster has several profiles. So does Wyatt. It's weird, you know, how sometimes it creates a new one or something.
It is.
Well, if you're on multiple, different teams too, I think.
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah, if they don't go in and add them just right, then, yeah, it's gonna happen. So again, I mean, there's some opportunities with Flow as well to kind of limit or try to control some of that roster stuff if we wanna go down that road.
So what would that entail? That would, club leaders would have to enter.
Club leaders would have to tell us
Flow.
what their flow team name is, and then we would just go find that, add it on, cause I can add all of us, anybody that wants to be added to the OKWA organization, I can add it, and it just adds one more drop down, you know how it's like event, parent, coach, so it adds event, adds organization, administrator. And so then you can go in and say OKWA, and then you can see all the teams that are currently in OKWA. You can see the rosters, you know, somewhat see the rosters on those. You have to be an admin on the individual teams to see like the full details. But we just have to add, so we have this OKWA remote desktop, which is what all of our laptops are under, that we could add that as a Flow account and just add that to every team, and then we could all log in with that username and password and get in if we need to. But I think that's worth, you know, just making that an admin and trying it for a year and seeing where we can get. I'm
What
still trying
problem
to.
does that solve? I'm trying to,
What
I
is
don't
it?
think I understand.
Being able to see the kids to make sure they're paid, when they're on our OKWA roster, paid, yeah, right?
So I think it would help us with, you know, how there's sometimes a misspelling in a name, like some of that. Like I think it would help us see maybe change or make corrections to some of that if we need to. The other thing we could do is like maybe even look at using that for the rosters. You know, instead of the website, maybe. You know,
Well,
I just
that
don't.
is pretty simple. Once you go in on Flow and you type in all your kids' information and get your team roster made.
Yeah.
And then whenever you go to enter for a tournament, you just click, click, click,
Yeah,
click,
which one
and
you
then
want.
you hit enter, and then it
It's
goes through
nice.
each one,
Yeah.
and you enter their weight, and then you're done.
And the other thing you could have is like you have your roster on Flow, that's your base roster, but every season you could create a new season roster and just add the kids to that new season roster.
We charge them.
And that's kind of
And
what the old
that's what we
website
can
used to
almost
do.
charge. Yeah, you can almost charge for that. So just whoever's on this 21, 22 roster, like that's what, you know, on this date, that's what you're gonna get charged for. I don't know, something to think about.
And then we're collecting money at
Yeah.
regional seating meeting.
You have to know the
So,
options.
well, I don't like that because
No, I don't either, cause then we go the
Well,
whole
then
season.
we go the whole
so-
season without money.
Right, and.
Did you have something? Sorry.
Now, my question would be, if you have, if you do the rosters, like you're saying, does that now make the club admin have to enter all of those
Right.
kids again, because
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
that's.
I mean, and if you're entering in, a weekend tournament, it's like, I don't know if you just let your parents enter,
I
and
will
which
tell
most
you,
of the big clubs are doing.
Most of the big clubs
Yes.
are not managing their
Yes.
club entries.
No, I
They're
don't even
not.
I didn't manage Hobart's last year.
There's
Yeah.
no
On top of
way
that.
to.
Yeah, let the parents deal with that.
Parents are going in.
And then when the parents pick the
60
wrong
kids on
weight,
that.
guess who picked the wrong weight?
Yeah, that
I
ain't-
didn't
that
choose your
was me.
weight.
Yeah, that would be my only
Not my problem.
thought about that is,
Yeah.
not that it's big, but you're gonna have a lot of pushback from big clubs. on
Yep.
that.
Good call. So again, something to look at, think about, I don't know.
I mean, we can invoice clubs, you know, as far as like either through PayPal or even through the website. You
Yeah.
can do that. Like I can just put in a charge and say what it's for, even if they never put a roster, you know, kid on a roster. So there is a way, like, you know, I mean, what we'd have to do is maybe go
So, like,
look
if-
through tournaments and say you've
Yeah.
had 20 kids enter.
And the other thing I may be able to do is like, so for every club in our organization, or every team in our organization, I may be able to pull like a report that says how many kids are on this roster. So then like every Monday, we could just run that, and if, you know, today you have 30 and tomorrow you have 35, we know to bill you for 5 more. You know what I mean? So maybe we can set up some sort of Excel that it dumps into and just like, you know, tells us week to week how many, I don't know. It would be a lot more work on our side, but the website right now,
Well, and I mean, isn't that something that even regional directors could take care of?
Yes.
Because you're, you know, like, okay, you know, Gary has their tournament and there's 15 kids from El Reno that haven't paid or whatever, then on Monday, the director sits and looks at those numbers and says, okay, well then this kid was not on our roster. I
And
mean,
we could
it's
do it
more work,
monthly. I
but-
mean, I don't even know if you have to do it weekly.
Right.
We could do it like once a month. At the end of the month, we would
Yeah.
inventory and then.
Yeah.
And then of course, you know, they could have a running balance all season, I guess, but they won't be able to enter regionals if they don't have a zero balance.
Yeah.
The website is informational at this point, mostly. We would still need to do, what about the coaches?
Informational and advertisement.
Right. But the coaches, I mean, we could still use that for the coaches
Yeah,
process.
we still use that for the process.
I would do it novice state instead of regionals, because you're gonna, half of those teams are all novice.
Yes, that's a good call. It needs to be
Yeah, I
not,
like that.
you need to not be able to enter at novice
Yeah,
Yeah.
until you pay.
because a lot of those teams are done.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are
so
some
the
teams that don't
regionals.
stuff at regionals, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
You have to pay
Yeah,
that.
Good call.
Good
Right.
idea.
And that will be back on the club leader,
Yep.
so, yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay. So what else on the website?
We just need to figure out how to update, like, you know, remember at the
Yep.
the last website, you know, at this point in the season, we would, you know, basically wipe everything and start over.
So I have a proposal, so our first meeting is the 11th. Can we all get together on the 4th of September, so that'd be next Sunday,
Labor Day.
and do just an online demo? That's Labor Day. What about the Wednesday before the meetings? So it'd be 11, 10, 9, 8, like the 7th.
And
Can we do the
what?
night of the 7th, and we would do, you, me, and Chris would do a demo? Say this is like, well, that gives us till the 7th to figure out like how the website's gonna work, and then we would just demo and say this is how we're gonna put kids in. Is that fair?
Well, are we, that's all I'm asking, are we using the website for rosters?
Well, I think we gotta figure that out between now and the 7th.
We're using it for information and schedules.
Yeah.
Like, I still
Let me ask
like
you
that we
this,
could
from a-
use it for like pushing flyers and stuff.
I think we need to use the, website for the rosters, just based off insurance.
Yeah.
Because that way, that's our, kind of a way to prove that those kids were under our
right.
insurance.
You're right, cause
ban.
there are plenty of kids who don't wrestle, that
Yes.
are in your wrestling room
Yes.
practicing, and
That
then
don't
we
go to
need,
tournaments.
and we need to account for them,
Absolutely.
I mean, I had a kid, and we've talked about this,
yeah.
I had a kid, screw up their knee.
Mhm.
Well, first it happened at JOC, then the story changed to, it happened at junior high practice. Then it changed to, it happened at OKWA, our youth practice. And then it changed to, it happened at the Ponca tournament. I mean,
Mhm.
because, and here's the deal, the kid was on our roster.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it didn't, but it does kinda matter because it's gotta be, you know, an OKWA sanctioned
Mhm.
event,
Okay.
whether it be practice or whatever,
Yeah.
so.
So are we all good with the demo on the seventh?
Yes.
Yeah. we can do that.
An online demo on the seventh, and that gives me, you, and
7 to 7.
Chris
I
some
think
time.
we could even do something pre-recorded and just release it.
But on the seventh, we could meet, and then maybe we could,
You got your
maybe we
how-to
could record
videos.
something. What?
You got your how-to videos.
I do have a few how-to videos out there on YouTube. A few.
They're old.
I did one new one last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I recorded a second one, but never posted it.
That was back when Flow
I
was
never
green.
edited it and posted it. So, okay. Yeah, it was still the
Done.
green screens.
Mhm.
Anything else under new business?
Nope.
Or
Next
the
meeting date.
website, yeah.
Is that are we gonna make, the 7th isn't unofficial?
No, it'll just
Right,
be
it's just
us
a
meeting
demo.
Yeah.
to,
Figure out.
Yeah.
to be on the same page and see what
Yeah.
directors can do to help
Yeah.
representatives.
So, the next meeting scheduled date,
What do we think about the Sunday after the tournament schedule meetings?
so it'd be the 25th.
25th, yeah.
On Sunday?
Yeah, 25th or the second, I'm good with either.
Yep.
Online or in person?
I think online's probably fine.
Okay,
Yep.
25th. That'll give us a chance to finalize the schedule
2 o'clock
across
online.
both sides, right?
2 o'clock online,
Can we do 6 o'clock online?
6 o'clock online.
Oh, I got better.
6 o'clock, Sunday online.
Okay.
Sweet.
That work?
Yep.
Motion adjourned.
Second?
See ya outside.
Right, yeah.
Whoa. Kinda like at the tournaments, don't run off, we got a whole bunch to worry about.
Oh, no, I'm done.
Mm.